Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami Fort Lauderdale presents The Neil Rogers Show.
Oh!
To talk to Neil, call 567-0560 toll free for Dade and Broward or pound 560 on your cell phone.
All right.
The opinions of Neil, his guests, callers, or anyone else on the show do not necessarily reflect those of WQAM, Beasley Reed Acquisitions, or the Beasley Broadcast Group. Now, Neil Rogers on Sports Radio 560 QAM.
It's Friday, you bastards.
Hi, this is Maury Povich wishing you a happy Hanukkah.
Okay, it's 10:01. Well, we have to even it out, don't we? Every time we play a Goyish Christmas thing, we got to do a Jewish thing, don't we?
Boy!
10:01 at 560 WQAM, your holiday station for whatever this is. Are we the holiday station?
No.
Sure we are. Every day is a goddamn holiday here. It's a picnic. So anyway, man, I'll tell you, this Sun Sentinel is just the best. You guys are the biggest assholes on the face of the earth. I don't know where to start with this thing. So let me just put it off to the side for a minute before I get hyperventilating and too worked up about that thing. With those gambling ships, oh my God, the evil slot machines will destroy mankind. Make no mistake about that. Seriously, I think we ought to take up a fund. Once we get our Center One thing done, then we'll take up another collection and use that money for psychiatric help for the editorial board at the Scum Sentinel and, of course, at the Herald, but they're beyond hope. Man, they got a line in their editorial today, and then in their own newspaper, they've got a story that totally debunks everything they write on the editorial page, but they must be pretty smart. They must not read their own newspaper. Maybe they're reading the New York Times or something like a real paper, because it's just amazing to me. Okay, our Center One total, getting to that, we got, I don't know what we have, because we still have 3 stores, Kendall, Aventura, and Coconut Grove, that haven't reported in from borders from last week. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Center One, thanks to our good, close personal friends, Scott and Laura Schwartz. Oh! Scott Schwartz, who I am embarrassed to say now works in our sales department. How do you like that? What a come down. This guy used to be was he the sales manager or the general manager at TMI?
Sales manager.
He was the salesman. First of all, he used to be on GTR. Anybody remember GTR?
No.
Sure you do. GTR. Who are the bozos in the morning on GTR?
Herman and
McQueen. There you go. Anybody seen them lately?
No.
Oh, that's right. They turned into Rick and Suds. Anyway, Herman and McQueen, they were like real big in the market for about 5 minutes on GTR. That was big. I mean, gigantic. And then all of a sudden it became the Coast. So Scott Schwartz kind of vanished out of there, and he wound up being the sales manager for the classical music station, WTMI, for the snooty station. I mean, Love 94, that's snooty enough. But TMI, that's the real snooty station for people who are highbrows, much, much more intellectual than all the rest of us. They listen to Beethoven and Brahms and Bach and crap like that, and Mozart and all those other faggots. So at any rate, then evidently he had a parting of the ways with TMI, and of course Scott is a big hockey fan. And Scott's wife, Laura, used to be our continuity person at IOD. Anybody remember Laura? In fact, we ought to play that thing in honor of her today. Yeah. Earl Streitz's conversion, which I was thinking about that yesterday. Laura was a goy. I mean, she's been married to Scott so long now and had so many babies. By the way, see, that's the goyish element there. Jews don't have that many babies, okay?
2?
Oh, they do have only 2?
As far as I know.
Seems for a while there that every time I'd see Laura at the hockey game, she was perpetually pregnant. Wasn't she? But I saw them the last game, and she looks great. She looks better than ever. Nice going, Laura. So at any rate, they were. She was our continuity person at the other station.
WIOD. Oh, I hate that station.
Yeah, us too. And now Scott brings me a nice fat check for Center One this morning. He's only been working here for like a couple of days, and already he's comes up with a nice fat check. So I don't want to say that anybody else in our sales department might help us out with a check. Have we seen a check from anybody else in sales so far?
No.
How about the sales manager?
No.
Oh, okay. So our Center One total is over 72 grand, and we got our only two big fundraisers left tomorrow at Shell's in Pembroke Pines, right in front of the Pembroke Lakes Mall on Pines Boulevard. That's 5 to 7 p.m. before the hockey game. Come on out, bring lots of cash, pick up your Best in the Old T-shirts and CDs and cassettes, and help us out. I want to get to 100 grand, or I'm going to be bitterly disappointed. And I was told that to George this morning, and he said, no chance. Well, that's what you said. You said it doesn't look really good. It's not too promising.
I grabbed my gut and belly laughed for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. And then our final appearance will be at Borders and Plantation on Saturday, December 19, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow, from noon to 2. Borders and Plantation, where there's one of those clerks behind the counter hates me like poison. Do I care about that?
No.
Of course not. We'll still be there. We'll still raise a lot of money, and maybe that'll put us over the top. I don't know. Well, it's supposed to be now the holidays. It's Christmas. It's Hanukkah. And that guy that called a couple of days ago, he's right. We ought to be able to raise 100 grand for anything with like falling off a log. If we really have anybody listening to the show, and we must have a lot of people listening to the show, and the reason I know that is no matter where I go. Like yesterday, I went into strange territory. I ran into, did it pay off?
No,
it did not. Looking for my goddamn Tyson seasoned beef strips. I'm going to tell you, I am so pissed off at myself for opening up a mouth. And you're right, you warned me. You said, all you're going to have to do is talk about this on the air. I was so excited about these, I even brought the box in. I got it in my hand right now, in the box, too. Tyson seasoned beef strips. Because people on the Atkins diet, I mean, man, you're just dying. You're just searching for something that you can eat. You walk into your supermarket and you go up and down the aisles and you'll check the labels on the back, and everything is a carbohydrate feast. So if you're fat and or diabetic, which usually go hand in hand, together, and you're looking for something low in carbs that really has some taste, and you finally discover something, and can I find it?
No.
I go into Albertsons yesterday, and lo and behold, the young man who's the cashier there at Albertsons, who cashes me out, he comes waddling over to me and shakes my hand. He's the guy that called yesterday and was talking about his teacher at whatever school is a big fan of mine, and do I know him? And I said,
no,
but I'm real grateful for that. How do you like that? What are the odds in that? I've lived out in the West Broward for like about 10 years now. That's the second or third time I've ever gone in that store. And here's the young guy who called here yesterday. And then there's like a dark-complected guy in there. Hey, did you find the stuff you were looking for, Neil? Everybody and their brother listens to this show, but we can't raise 100 grand for charity. That's over a 3-month period. If we were trying to do it in a week, I'd say, well, it's an impossible task. Best of Neil CDs, Volumes 1 and 2, the best ever in the history over the many years that we put those out. They're sitting in Borders for you, waiting right now. Or if you're too lazy to go to a Borders, which there are 8 of them all over goddamn Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, if you're too lazy for that, you can sit there and order it right off our website, neilrogers.com. You can order it right there on the Internet. Or you can pick up your instrument, your phone, and call Center 1, 954-563-3600. And order it on the phone. They'll whip it out to you. You'll have it in no time. Because these are supposed to be the holidays, and supposedly...
Hi, this is Maury Povich wishing you a happy Hanukkah.
Everybody's buying gifts, and they're cutting loose with the cash, and the market's up 100 points. They're 80 points now. But at any rate, making a little bit of a comeback. So to make a long story short, I'm in Albertsons yesterday looking for my Tyson seasoned beef strips. I'm going to tell you what a crappy store that is, by the way. I shouldn't have said that. That kid will get all bent out of shape. He works there. I don't care. It's a crappy store. It's a clean store. It's not a dirty store like... some of those other ones used to be that are no longer in business. No, it's clean and it's big, and the store too. But they don't even have the Tyson chicken strips. Now, maybe they did. Maybe my opening up a mouth has put a big run on those. But they definitely didn't have anything even remotely like the seasoned beef strips I was looking for. And I walked out of there with a sour look on my puss. Like, crap. Not that it's that far out of the way. It's up there, Oakland and Nob Hill. But, it's, not a place I would ordinarily go. Then making matters even worse, much, 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 much worse than that. Come to find out, I come in this morning, and remember the guy that called in yesterday right at the end of the show? I picked him up cold. Looks like he's going to leave me cold. The guy that works for Costco and promised at 2 o'clock today was going to bring me in some of this stuff. Well, calls George, he called you this morning, was it? Calls George this morning to say, oh, bad news. Bad news, we don't have that stuff, but I got something else that I think he'll like just as much.
No.
Oh. Pal, I don't want just any old meat, okay? I don't want your old meat. I want my Tyson. There's a lot of old meat out there, believe me. Just open a window and look outside. There's loads of old, raunchy meat. I want my Tyson seasoned beef strips, goddammit. I feel like the jackass in Cuckoo's Nest now.
I want my Tyson's beef strips, Nurse Ratchet.
Can't find them. Never will find them again. And as much as I like them and as much as they were delicious, I'm not going to be driving to Miami Lakes. I'm not going to be driving to, what was the other, Delray Beach, Pompano Beach,
Fort Myers,
Naples, Aliquippa, Ishpeming, Michigan. Oh, it'll kill some good time, though, I'll tell you that. 10 minutes after 10 at 560 WQM, your beef.
Where's my meat?
But critics agree, this collection of holiday songs may very well be the most moving and memorable of all time.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just what the ones I used to know.
Yes, Candle Wax Music presents Elmer Fudd's Christmas Classics. And this 24-record set is truly incredible.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey.
Oh, what fun you'll have hearing these timeless classics performed by America's most beloved hunter of wabbits.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it grows.
Elmer Fudd's Christmas Classics. Not available in stores. And when you receive your set in the mail, you'll know why.
Hello, everybody. I sure hope you like my Christmas classics.
So call toll-free 1-800-FUD. Operators are standing by.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
10:16 at 560 WQM. Why did I play Happy Birthday, you ask? Because Sunday, evidently, is not only George's birthday, but I think Fat Rich's got his birthday on the same day as yours, I'm pretty sure, because every year I forget. Well, no, I'm just not good at remembering things. I do remember my mother's birthday, a couple of others, and that's it. That's enough. So a happy birthday to George and Fat Rich and Tracy Neely and Rodney Baltimore. And did they hire him back, by the way?
I don't know. Maybe he'll call.
Over there at Hot 105, did they get that all straightened out? Because otherwise they're going to be getting sued and stuff like that. So anyway, let's get to the important meat of the matter. Well, we already did get to the important meat. Let me just take this quick call. Here's a mobile implantation. Hello.
Uncle Neil.
Yes, sir.
I solved your problem.
Yes?
Nob Hill and Cleary, Winn-Dixie, as much as you want.
Nob Hill and Cleary.
Yeah, you know where I'm talking about.
I sure do. The place where you can get in, but you can't get out. That parking lot, right?
It's not the best designed parking lot. You know, I bought a pack yesterday. It was okay. It's spicy and kind of,
And it's moist. It's not dry.
It was okay.
Well, I'm not suggesting this is like a ribeye at Ruth's Chris. I'm not suggesting that, but at least for novelty, it's something edible. With virtually no carbs.
You were talking yesterday about the airplane flying, and I was cracking up. I was flying back from Toronto Sunday night, and exactly the same thing happened. They're serving the meal. The guy in front of me puts the seat back. The thing's in my stomach with the food. Right?
Hate that.
I mean, it's a lousy, 2.5-hour flight. You can't sit with the seat up.
Now, was this on Air Canada?
American.
Oh, on American.
Yeah.
Well, at least the food is good on American anyway.
A little pasta with a little cheese.
It wasn't good?
Brownie.
It wasn't good?
Yeah, it was all right.
Food?
It was all right.
Okay, well, you're
wasn't as good as the beef strips.
Okay, thanks. See, I'm serious. Americans got damn good food as airline food goes. I mean, everything is relative. I'm not suggesting these beef strips are like fish food. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't go calling me on Monday and say, oh, we scoured the whole town and went out and got some, and what's the big deal? The big deal is that it's got almost no carbs in it, and it's not dry, and it's not bland. It's got some taste to it, and it's something different. And it's something that you split the little bag open, you pop it in the microwave for 3 or 4 minutes, and then if you want to add something into it like cheese or vegetable or whatever, and then you put it in for another minute, and you got something, and you can. The great part about this is there's 9 ounces, so it's like a little over half a pound in the box. So I could bring it in here, pop it in the microwave, and just eat it as a snack through the day. It's not like something you have to sit down and eat as a meal. It's something to pop in your bush to pacify you with no carbs. See, this is where Atkins blew it. I've been saying this for years. The Atkins diet, as many of you know, is sensational. It works, and if you're diabetic, it's like a lifesaver. The only problem is, number one, it's boring, and number two, he went into the vitamin thing and all this other, and then those stupid cheesecakes, which, God almighty, Bob, forget the goddamn cheesecakes already. Jesus Christ almighty. God. Seriously, first of all, I've never been a big cheesecake fan to begin with, because cheesecake, even good cheesecake, is dry. It's almost like eating cardboard. It's like eating halava. I like halava, but how much halava could you really eat? Those of you 10 Jews out there, realistically, who know what halava is, it's like eating sandpaper. It's dry. Personally, I put something in my mouth. I like it a little on the moist side. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
That's what I was afraid of. But seriously, who the hell wants to eat a cheesecake? It's dry, and it's real rich. And and usually you go into a restaurant, they give you like a little tiny piece because it's so rich. It's like pecan pie. Now, I do love pecan pie. Talk about rich. But does anybody ever go and eat a big piece of pecan pie?
No.
Of course not. Unless you're out of your mind. Because it is so rich that your body immediately, it's like eating truffles, chocolate truffles. As my little dog discovered a year or so ago. You can't only eat like 20 or 30. They're very, very rich, especially if they are like powdered truffles, oh my God. And of course, the fact that when you eat more than a couple, your body starts like regurgitating, like protesting. In fact, I'll tell you something. I know I'm allergic. What am I talking about here? I know I'm allergic to chocolate, because usually if I eat chocolate of almost any kind, I'll start coughing in the beginning, like that, because I'm allergic to it. Your body is telling you something. So don't be eating like half a pecan pie. You're going to wind up in intensive care. It's bad for you. So nobody wants cheesecake, but Dr. Atkins, if you had just come up with a line of products. I suggested to him when I met him that time, we did that appearance at the Sawgrass, I said, gee, it would be great to have like a chain of Dr. Atkins restaurants with almost no carbs, with just a whole variety of meats and different things. Wouldn't that have been a great idea?
Uh-huh.
Somebody could have made millions doing that. And unfortunately, all I did was talk about it. It's a great idea. So short of that, how about just a food, instead of just vitamins, which is fine, how about a food product line instead of just stupid goddamn cheesecake? Because the frustrating thing about the Atkins diet is you go into a store and you look on the labels and just carbohydrates and carbohydrates. And like I've been telling you for years now, they're killing us, including me. They are killing us. Carbohydrates are killing millions of us. Potato chips, you can't just eat only 500 of them. Pretzels, candy, addictive refined carbohydrates that stimulate your taste buds, and as soon as you start eating one or two, you become ravenous and you could eat like thousands. Like mandel bread, if you know what I'm talking about. That's right, mandel bread, loaded with sugar. Killing us. So if this guy was really he's a brilliant diet doctor, but as far as being a marketer or a merchandiser, the worst. Have you ever seen that infomercial? Did you ever wind up seeing it? Oh, the worst infomercial. It makes you scream for Ron Popeil. It makes you pray for the guy with the Ginsu knives. Anything, but not the Dr. Atkins infomercial. The world's worst, most annoying. He's got some jappy bitch from New York. Come on, try the diet. It works. Come on, it's great. You'll be so skinny. It's worse than the ones with that faggot from Chips. What the hell is his name? I keep forgetting his name. I have a mental block on. Eric Estrada. Oh, yeah, we make it right here in Miami, and people are trying it now. We couldn't believe it. They're losing weight. Bio crap. Yeah, they got a new they got a new wonder drug. It's called Bio. Crap. Yeah, and people are losing weight. By the way, did you see that thing on Sly Stallone yesterday? He claims that he's moving out of here because of the crime, but the real story is that he's pissed off that they wouldn't change the road and do this and do that, and he can't manipulate and control the people there, so he's going to pick up his goodies and take his illiterate act someplace else. Well, pack your stale sandwich, Sly, okay? You illiterate Dumbo. Duh. Yo, Adrian. Yeah, there you go. There's a guy made millions of dollars by being intentionally more illiterate than he really is, which, believe me, he's got a good head start. Yo, Adrian. What a jackass. And they make a big deal out of him here because it's such a goddamn boring place. So speaking of boring place, this thing, and you know me, I hate cruise ships. I've been screaming about the cruise ship operators, about the Mickey Arisons of the world, about the Bahamas, and what a goddamn ripoff, what a bunch of crap that place is. But the fact is, you should have your own choices. That's all. If I don't like a cruise ship, that doesn't mean I think they ought to go out of business, or that the state ought to be raiding them or wasting taxpayer dollars to be involved in media staged raids. Great column by Robert Steinbach, by the way. In fact, too bad he's not still on the radio somewhere. I might actually listen to his show. His columns usually make a lot of sense. Nice going, Robert. High-stakes harassment is what he says, but I'll save that for last. Because the Sun Sentinel, and let me say it again, I know I keep harping on this every day of my life, but it needs to be said. We have 2 horse crap newspapers in this town. We don't have anything that closely resembles a newspaper anywhere here in South Florida. It's embarrassing, it's humiliating, and it kind of like fits in like a rubber glove. It is so Bush League. And I would love to know. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in one of those orifices up there at the Herald or the Sun Sentinel and find out what the real story is, why they have this psychotic hysteria about the evils of casino gambling. You know, all these years, every time it gets on the ballot, these people start like peeing on themselves. They start calling June Allison for cases and cases of Depends underwear. Because they can't control their bodily functions, they get so psychotic at the prospect that there could be casino gambling here. And just having come back from Vegas for about the 5,000th time in my life and having had a great time and seeing the place jam-packed with people. Driving around this morning here for crying out loud, and not that I'm complaining, mind you, it was like a holiday. I don't know what the big deal was today, but I don't think is there anybody here?
No.
It's already December the 4th. Are the snowbirds back?
No.
Are there any tourists here?
No.
They're back.
What?
In my neck of the woods.
Well, maybe in your neck of the woods, but not like usual. What I'm saying is that Las Vegas is jam-packed with people having a great time, being treated great, losing their ass, and still having a great time. And, you know, a few winners, like that old bag that won the $27 million at Palace Station 3 weeks ago. But down in this town, in this neck of the woods, baby, oh, boy, the evils. And they got I'm going to read their editorial, which is the worst editorial and the most stupid. And then they got an article in their same newspaper, which if they would just read their own newspaper, shows you that the rate on the gambling ship was bogus. They had that hearing yesterday, which they're continuing today, by the way. They're probably at it again right now. And bogus. These so-called investigators, after all these months of cloak and dagger and bullcrap and all the money that they wasted in time in the media staged event, most of it is bullcrap, just concocted. Well, it might be this and it might be that, but yeah, right. But we do know one thing, it's evil. 1026 at 560 WQAM.
Where do you find Joe Rose, Jeff DeForest, and Steve Goldstein? The first team, right where you got it. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Jeff Bush.
1030 at 560 WQAM. I can't believe this. I'm looking at the phone thing. It says Don Yeager, one of the co-authors of Pros and Cons, is on the phone. How you doing, Don?
Good, Neil. How are you?
Great. I was reading, because, you know, I'm one of those people who read like 2-3 books at the same time. And so I picked up your book about a month ago, and I've been like reading it, piecemeal, chapter by chapter. And I was reading last night Risky Business, because I'm, skipping around in the book.
Uh-huh.
And reading about the Kansas City Chiefs and Tim Barnett, and about how they never learned their lesson. And then, of course, after they got through with that episode,
they picked up Simmons.
Right, exactly. They moved on to Wayne Simmons, and it doesn't really seem to make any difference.
No, and in fact, they've just bounced Wayne Simmons and sent him off to Buffalo. So.
Really?
Yeah, after the debacle a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you saw the Monday night game in which against Denver, in which toward the end of the game, the Chiefs just completely lost control, and they had 5 consecutive penalties for that were just outrageous. And Simmons was among them. And so the next morning they woke up, the president of the Chiefs woke up and said, you know what, we need to get rid of guys like this, and he cut him right there in the middle of the season.
How's Tremaine Mack doing, by the way?
Well, my understanding is he was arrested again, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so
you're in jail.
The guy's just got no chance of ever figuring it out, does he?
It's interesting because because this is a sports station, even though I don't do a sports show in these 4 hours, but I listen to these idiots that call on the sports shows, and you've got to really blame the public for this more than just the league or the owners or the teams. You've got to blame the public because I don't think most of the so-called fans really care. In other words, as long as you're on our team and as long as you can help us win, we don't give a damn how many women you rape, how many people you murder, what you do. We want to win.
Neil, that is so true. I tell you, I've said all along that there are 2 groups that are probably most responsible for this, and one is the public, and the other is the media. I mean, the fact that we don't do. Some of these records were there for the asking. Just nobody ever asked for them. So,
right.
As sports reporters. We choose only to cover that which happens in the field, and what happens to these guys off the field. We have fallen into the league's belief that doesn't matter, when in fact it does. I don't think we can hold these guys out as role models.
And since you wrote the book, Lawrence Phillips, he already had his run here in Plantation, and then, he's long gone. He's been cut. Charles Jordan, he's vanished from the scene because he had problems again. And these guys, it seems that most of them, I mean, there are exceptions, but most of them just never learn their lesson. They're just obsessed with raping women and abusing women, and
And the shame of that is it's all fun and games while they're in the NFL, and there are people out there to cover up for them. And in fact, as you said, when you're talented, there are people out there that will in fact do that. But the day that your playing days are over, your habits don't end, and suddenly that issue of becoming a danger to society is a whole lot more real.
Mm-hmm.
I
think the Mike Tyson thing is a classic example of the way the American public idolizes these goons. And here's a guy that went to prison for rape. There's no question that he was guilty. Tries to chew off a guy's ear. His behavior, here he had another scrape the other day. Just day after day you read about the things that he's doing, this aberrant behavior. He's like one step away from an animal. I'm not sure in which direction. And yet if he were to come on and fight the bum of the month tonight, like at 8 o'clock tonight, there'd be millions of guys that go out there and spend $50 or $80 or $100 on pay-per-view to subsidize it.
And the shame of that is that as long as we're willing as fans to kind of just fall for that, none of them will ever learn a lesson. But there is an opportunity. I mean, we could do something. We could say something. And unfortunately, it takes shows like yours. It takes books, magazines. It's going to take some pressure from the other end to say, look, I think we'd like a higher standard. Of course, it wouldn't be tough to create a higher standard at this stage.
Right. Well, so what is the reaction to your book? I mean, it's been out for a while now. Is the league reacting formally in any way?
Yeah, the league has. Well, I do know, in fact, a Tampa TV station did an interview the other day with Tony Dungy from the Buccaneers, and asked him for a comment. And Tony Dungy said, for the first time on the air, that the league has issued a mandate that they don't want this book discussed by any league personnel, any team personnel. So. That to me,
I can't imagine why.
That's the highest form of compliment, I guess. But in conversations I've had in places where I've been one-on-one with someone from the league on television or on radio, the thing that's going to come up is the league has said, they said openly to me, hey, we got the number one television package in sports. Stadium's never been more full. Fan approval's never been higher. Clearly, they don't have a problem with it. We don't understand why you do. And to me,
yeah. What are you trying to be, a troublemaker here? What's wrong with you, man?
Yeah, it's as if I committed these crimes.
Right. But, it starts. Well, I don't want to say it starts. It starts even before college. It starts in elementary and high school with a lot of these kids in the ghetto, wherever the hell it is. But at the college level, the acceptance of this starts. I was reading the other day that of all the major universities, Nebraska's got the worst graduation rate of any of them. And of course, Tom Osborne there for years was notorious as a gangster lover.
But they called him Dr. Tom Osborne, so that made that
right, kind of intellectualized the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we had the same thing down here when Jimmy Johnson was at U of M, and we had the gangsters with the Hurricanes with the camouflage outfits at the Fiesta Bowl and all that other crap. And and University of Miami has had a constant, ongoing succession of these embarrassments, and people talk about they don't talk about those things. All they talk about, we had the Brian Blades episode down here, and his agent comes along and says, well, we don't have time to deal with the law enforcement people because he's got to get up there to Seattle and run fast and jump high.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever that means.
Just 3 or 4 weeks ago, you had Leonard Little of the St. Louis Rams getting drunk behind a car, behind a wheel of a car, killing a woman, and having the head coach of the Rams, Dick Vermeil, say the next day, we want to welcome him back. He needs football, and football needs him.
Yeah, but there's another great gangster lover. That was Dick Vermeil.
Oh, unbelievable! I tell you what, when my impressions of so many people changed during the reporting of this book. Dick Vermeil being one of them. I mean, when he embraced Ryan Tucker, a one-time offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, for the Rams, who came from Texas Christian University. Where while at TCU, he and 4 of his buddies, all who weighed 250 or more, beat within an inch of their life, of his life, a young man who weighed about 150 pounds.
That's really gutsy.
And then, real big of them to do that outside of a bar. And when he was drafted by the Rams, reporters asked Vermeil, who was struggling with Lawrence Phillips at the time, aren't you a little bit concerned about this guy's felony record here? He's charged with a felony with attempted murder. And Vermeil said, oh, that's a little overstretched. Bottom line is, after looking at it, at least I know he can finish a fight.
Right. Here, I think God can win a fight, right.
I mean,
even if it's with 3 other guys and the guy that he's fighting weighs 150 pounds.
That should turn the stomach of any fan out there.
But Don, I don't think it does. I get very little response about it. They don't seem to care. In other words, as long as you can help us win. When Jimmy Johnson signed Lawrence Phillips, I was screaming on the air, what kind of insanity is this? Look at this guy's record. This guy's a maniac. And these people didn't care. If he could, if by some miracle he would have turned out to be a great running back, which he didn't, but if he would have, they'd love him. They'd be kissing his ass right now.
They'd be talking about how he needed a second chance.
It reminds me of it all comes back to that O.J. syndrome, this hero worship. If you're a jock, if you wear a jock strap, no matter what you do in your personal life, we don't care about that. Remember the freeway chase I'm sure you do in L.A. When you're all running up and down with the signs, go O.J., go O.J. We don't care how many people you murdered and how you did it and why you did it. You're a hero.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping, I really, we say that people are just don't care. I think that ultimately, maybe some diehard fans don't, but I think that most of the NFL's fan support is based upon pretty decent people who, if they start asking themselves, are these the jerseys we want to buy for our children? Are these the kind of people we? Right. I think most of them will say no, but I think the key is that it just takes discussion of the subject and it takes information. You have to know these stories in order to be able to debate them, and for the first time now, we've really got that opportunity, and I appreciate you. The kind words you said about the book.
Oh, the book is sensational.
I've got several friends there in Miami who are avid listeners of yours who called me up and said, "You won't believe Neil Rogers talking about your book." So
in fact, I had planned. I'd marked it. I got it in my hand right now. And the book too, the Chapter 3, Risky Business, which did that first part about Tim Barnett. I'm going to read that on the air today.
Oh, that right there will turn your stomach as well. Yeah. But thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for the book, because believe me, it's about time that people, stop glorifying goons and that they stop making role models for their kids out of guys who are rapists and murderers even in some case.
Neil, thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot, Don.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Don Yeager, who writes for Sports Illustrated and is co-author of Pros and Cons, The Criminals Who Play in the NFL. Jeff Benedict and Don Yeager. We must be psychic. Because I was reading it last night, flipping through, and I'm one of those people that a book like this, that's not like a story, but that relates to a whole bunch of different incidents. I like to skip around and read parts that I find interesting. And I was reading it last night and brought it in this morning with the intention of reading that, and then out of the blue, here he is. It is a great book, and some of you'll say, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. And the rest of you'll say, we don't care. We want to win the game. 20 before 11 at 560 WQA.
Friday, you bastards.
Dogs for every
All right.
I be rolling with a trunk load in my 81 Buick. Crack City, here I be gone. And if I have to bust a cap, I just say I didn't do it. Crack City, here I be gone. And when I get to Crack City, I go to the third world and ask around the club on who be buying my girl. I be going to Crack City to the floating nightclubs. Yeah, I be going to Crack City and be stabbing my sluts. When I be going to Crack City and unload my junk, I never go to Crack City without packing my gun. Yeah, to rock for every know that every now and then I sell some crack to a white dude. Crack City, here I be gone. Some was buck on the intersection working for free food. Crack City, here I be gone. Well, I be cruising by the Verbal House with no windows and be knocking on Moesha. She my favorite hoe. Yeah, me go to Crack City, and I'm gonna sell my crack. But I be going to Crack City, you can count on that. I be going to Crack City, and that's my rap. I be going to Crack City, 'cause I be bad, yeah. To rock for every that's right. It's supposed to be a guitar here.
What are you talking about?
You mean you can't play no guitar?
I don't play no guitar.
.47 at 560 WQAM. So anyway, I'll get back to the pros and cons book later, which is great, which you really need. You know, if you're going to buy a book for somebody for the holidays, and you got somebody that's a sports fan, especially a football fan, go out and buy them that book, because it will be riveting. They'll sit there with their eyes glued to it, their eyeballs glued to it. But anyway, getting back to this great, okay, let me get to the editorial first, because I got just tons of stuff here, and it's much too important to just gloss over. The Sun Sentinel, the goody two-shoes, sanctimonious, holier-than-thou Sun Sentinel editorializes this morning: crackdown on gambling votes, a sure winner for state citizens. Oh! All right! Don't you feel better already about living in this state?
No.
Come on. Just the headline makes me feel uplifted and redeemed. It goes on to say, and there is a line in here, I've got it circled, I'm going to tell you, that is just, I will wet my pants when I get to that line, I guarantee you. Florida voters have stated loud and clear at the ballot box that they don't want casino gambling in Florida. Attorney General Bob Butterworth and the sheriffs of Broward, Palm Beach, and Monroe counties have given a strong endorsement to voters' wishes by cracking down on casino votes they claim were violating Florida's gambling laws. They claim were. The crackdown on 6 gambling votes stocked from Key Largo to Riviera Beach took place Tuesday, culminating undercover operations that started in April. This is December, last time I checked. The surprise crackdown resulted in confiscation of equipment on 2 of the vessels. The 4 others are back in business. If the charges are proven, the operations could be subject to forfeiture of equipment and millions of dollars in fines. Under the law, the boats must be at least 3 miles offshore before they begin gambling operations. Undercover officers boarded the boats with electronic navigational equipment that uses satellites to pinpoint positions of vessels. According to an investigator from the Attorney General's office, the tracking equipment wasn't needed in some instances since the boats hadn't even cast off when the gambling began. Some of the boats also were permitting gambling on sports events that would take place days later, according to Butterworth. Under the law, patrons can only bet on sports contests that take place during the cruise. The gambling boats are a blight on Florida's waters. Unfortunately, the state is powerless to prevent their operation outside the 3-mile limit. Inside the limit, law enforcement officials cannot ignore what goes on. Just as they wouldn't permit illegal bookmaking or casino operations in a strip shopping mall, they shouldn't permit them on gambling boats operating within the state's borders. Butterworth pointed out how foolish it is for boat operators to jeopardize their businesses by breaking Florida's gambling statutes. With a little patience, they would be operating entirely within the law. Patience, however, tends not to be a virtue of gamblers or gambling operators. Now here comes the line. Strap yourselves in tight. Okay, strap that seatbelt. Here we go. Here's the line from the Sun Sentinel editorial board. The majority of Floridians recognize casino gambling is a sucker's bet that all too often leads to gambling addiction, broken homes, and financial ruin.
Oi!
Squirt, 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 squirt. I told you I'd wet my pants. Squirt, squirt.
Oi! 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 Oi!
Let me read that one again because I've got it circled, jerk. The majority of Floridians recognize casino gambling is a sucker's bet that all too often leads to gambling addiction,
Oi!
broken homes,
Oi!
and financial ruin.
Oh, my God.
Right. The state doesn't need it, and it shouldn't permit boat operators to break the law that forbids it. End of editorial. From the sanctimonious, full of crap, hypocritical assholes who run your Sun Sentinel, which, by the way, is published by the ultra-conservative Chicago Tribune Corporation out of Chicago. This is the most idiotic editorial. This even tops the Herald editorial that I made mention of yesterday about how, at least at the pari-mutuels, they withdraw the money lightly from your wallet as opposed to exactly, as opposed to sucking it out of there like they do in the casinos. You're lightly killed. Your bankroll is lightly killed at the pari-mutuels, but they just butcher you in the casinos. That's the Herald. That's their deal. But that editorial pales into insignificance compared to this swill, this garbage in print that appears in a major newspaper this morning. The majority of Floridians recognize this is why casinos are opening all across North America, from California to Mexico to Canada to all kinds of states like Mississippi, why they're helping the economies of places that were like on the and forget about Atlantic City. Atlantic City, unfortunately, is an aberration. It was done all wrong. Before they ever let them put the first casino in there, they should have guaranteed that a lot of the money, a lot of the profits that would have been reaped there would go back to rebuilding the city. Did they do that?
No.
They did not, and they've suffered the consequences of it, and that's why Atlantic City is still a toilet. But that's the exception. Casino gambling is a sucker's bet that all too often leads to gambling addiction, broken homes, and financial ruin. Sounds like we're ready for prohibition again, right? There you go. Casino gambling leads to gambling addiction. The Purim mutuals, all of whom advertise in your goddamn newspaper, by the way, at the Sun Sentinel, they're okay. That's wonderful. Certain kinds of gambling are okay. They're fine. But casino gambling, especially those evil one-armed bandits, baby. Why do you think they call them bandits? Those slot machines. The goody two-shoes in this state, like I told you yesterday, they see a slot machine and they, like, drop loads in their pants. That's right. They start just dropping all over the place as soon as they see a slot machine, because they know that the goddamn work of the devil is right there in front of their puss. Now, if these assholes who wrote this editorial would read their own goddamn newspaper, maybe they might have written something a little bit different, or maybe they might not have written any editorial until all the facts were in, which I realize is, asking a little bit too much. Because in the local section of the same newspaper on the same day this morning, Thursday, December the goddamn 4th, 1998, here is an article that says, Sun Cruise lobs volleys in state's case on gambling, territorial calculations of officer in question. Attorney General Bob Butterworth and Broward County Sheriff Ken Jenney may have fired the first volley, but Sun Cruise boat operator Konstantinos Gus Bolas is intent on winning the naval war. On Thursday, Bolas and his company's attorneys launched a legal counterattack to the state's efforts to punish the Sun Cruise casino operations for allegedly violating a state law forbidding gambling in territorial waters and while in port. The battle, which continues today before Broward Circuit Judge Leonard Stafford, clearly had state officials on the defensive. In a contentious hearing before a courtroom packed with more than 100 spectators, the millionaire developer and entrepreneur railed against Assistant State Attorney General Stephen A. LeClaire for actions Bolas said threatened his livelihood and those of his employees. On Tuesday, state officials raided the Sun Cruise 6 in Hollywood, taking $629,000 in cash and removing gambling equipment. In Key Largo, officials took $216,000 off the Sun Cruise 1. They also took $6,900 from the Sun Cruise 2 in Riviera until Riviera Beach. A boat Bolas subsequently moved to Hollywood. His only South Florida operation now up and running. If the state's charges are proven, the gambling operations could face millions of dollars in civil penalties and forfeitures. Bolas contends that would be disastrous for his businesses in Florida, where his companies run 5 casino operations and are partners in 5 others. Because he has an interest in all 10, the more than $60 million in bank loans he's obtained to run them will be at risk if the gambling equipment seized on Tuesday is not returned, he said. Over 500 families are in jeopardy of losing their jobs, Bolas said. All of the boats, all of them are going to close down within 10 days. The biggest problem for the Attorney General's office may be the holes casino operators' attorneys punched in their case. Under cross-examination by Bolas attorneys, the state's witnesses did considerable backpedaling. David Sanders, a Fort Lauderdale police officer, was part of a months-long undercover investigation of 6 South Florida casino gambling ships, including Bolas's, said his calculations placing Bolas boats outside the 3-mile territorial limit may be incorrect.
Oh, my God.
Might be wrong. Sanders testified that he relied on a $250 portable device to map the ship's locations with a global positioning system, but he admitted that the system has flaws and may be affected by radio and radar waves. Moreover, Sanders said his measurements were not corroborated by any other method. Also on Tuesday, a Broward Sheriff's Office deputy who worked undercover acknowledged that the state's allegation that illegal betting occurred at the docks ignored the company's position that the bets are not consummated until money actually exchanges hands in international waters. Bruce Zimet, Bolas' attorney, said that was a crucial piece of testimony. People had a belief that until money is paid, the bet wasn't complete, and the unequivocal testimony is that no money was paid until the vote is 3 miles out, Zimet said. The most embarrassing testimony for state authorities may have come from Joseph J. Mandarin, an economic crimes investigator for the Attorney General's office. Mandarin, who was also testifying that he observed bets being taken in territorial waters, admitted that his sworn testimony that one ship was not far out, let me say it again, that one ship was not out far enough was only speculation. He also said he has no idea how much, if any, of the money taken from the ships was the result of illegal activity. Sounds like Lost Rights again by James Bovard, doesn't it? We're just coming in and grabbing all the cash. Mandarin conceded that he made no attempt to determine whether ship personnel were operating in good faith, that they were obeying the law based on their own equipment. I didn't need to, he said. End of article. Talk about nebulous at best, but it was good for us. That's what the editorial says. Even though it was based on, well, maybe, bada beep, bada boop, we don't know, but it was great. 10:57 at 560 WQAM.
Neil God.
Get ready to rumble! Gonna be in color, probably on pay-per-view. Forever the world's been waiting. Titans gonna win the belt. I just want to beat you up. Might just want to beat you up. Let's rumble. Ring the bell. Well, Tyson's ready now. He's out of jail. Tell me who will fight Tyson. Wish it was dead Don King. Everyone wants a Mikey. The kid is at the cross the ring. Who I just want to beat you up. Who I just want to beat you up. Let's rumble. Ring the bell. The Tyson's ready now. He's out of jail.
11:03 at 560 WQAM. So anyway, the same sanctimonious newspaper, by the way, whose editorial board is obviously a hell of a lot holier than all the rest of us. Page 13, and keep in mind, this is all in the same newspaper today. The news story in the local section, the editorial on the editorial page, and on page 13C in the sports section, the very same people who tell us about casino gambling being a sucker's bet and that it leads to gambling addiction and broken homes and financial ruin. Goody two-shoes, holier than thou. Here on page 13C on the back inside for the record page of the sports section, latest line. And here is the line on, let's see, NCAA football, MAC Conference Championship at Huntington, West Virginia, Marshall and Toledo. Then Saturday, Army, Navy, UCLA, Miami, Air Force and Brigham Young, and et cetera and so on. Then we got the NFL. Then we got college basketball. Then we got the National Hockey League. We got the Pizza Hut Classic, the Hawkeye Invitational, the Blue and Gold. They got the odds in every game that's ever been invented and some that the players haven't been born to play yet. Now let me ask you this question, you assholes at the Sun Sentinel, you hypocrites, you sanctimonious bastards, you Henry Hydes of newsprint. Let me ask you this. Why do you have these in here? Where are people, just like these people who call this radio station 20 hours a day, oh, who do you like in the, you think 8.5? Those people. Where are people going to bet on these sporting events? Can they bet on these sporting events legally anywhere here in the state of Florida? No, they cannot. They could bet on legally on those cruise ships, by the way, once they get outside the 3-mile limit, but of course, we want to close those down because they're a blight and et cetera and so on. So why is it that the same newspaper that tells us about the evils of gambling and is so concerned that you're going to be losing your lunch money and about compulsive gamblers, just like compulsive drinkers and compulsive pot smokers, let's prohibit everything. Let's seize, just like lost rights in James Bovard, more seizure of property, seizure of money, even though we don't know how much of that money was allegedly illegally, but let's just go in there and grab up $500,000 or more in cash and put on a big circus for the media here on a project. God only knows how much money they spent on this project, which we now find out they've been working on since April of this year, and now it's early December. And Robert Steinbach, of all places in the Herald, thank God at least they've got the decency to print his column, since he's one of the few people on paper who ever makes any sense. And I'm not going to read his whole long column today. You read it. It's great. He says Elliot Ness would have been proud of their tactics. He says tongue-in-cheek. He said it was a marvelous exercise in overkill. And then at the end, after he talks about how prohibition with booze didn't work, he says casinos should be legal too, but the fact that they aren't is no excuse for the state to harass legal businesses that make gambling available outside state territory. If the state has found minor violations, it should administer minor punishment and go find bigger fish to fry. Nice going, Robert Steinbach in the Herald today. Thank God for him. Thank God for the fact that we got a handful of people in this town that have got the guts to stand up against the sanctimonious, hypocritical assholes like the Bobby Butterworths and Ken Jennings of the world. And these editorial boards at both our so-called newspapers in this town that are constantly giving us a big song and a dance, warning us against the evils of those What are you people talking about? And one of the many times we had casino gambling on a ballot here, I'll never, as long as I live, forget that picture that the sanctimonious, righteous Herald, who would never lie to us, who would never manipulate public opinion for their own fun and profit. That picture of some deadbeat way behind a casino somewhere in Vegas, out in the middle of the desert somewhere. Here's some drifter out there. Is he anywhere near the Strip?
No.
Are we ever going to run into this guy?
No.
Are there any drifters, bums on the Strip?
No.
I've never seen any. Anybody begging for money? Spare some change on the Strip?
No.
No. But that was the best picture they could find to depict what Vegas is all about for the yahoos in this town who've never been there. Some stumblebum out there in the middle of the desert somewhere who, loaned me $50, whatever that was all about. I mean, this is stuff out of the Stone Age, Virginia. This is stuff out of the Dark Ages. This is stuff out of the Prohibition era. Gambling is evil, casino gambling is evil, and the cruise ships, they're illegal, and they're a blight on the waters. Well, how are they a blight on the waters? Well, what does that mean?
They're awfully pretty out there.
I mean, if a hurricane comes along and blows them all away anyway, we just found that out, so what's the problem? They're a blight on the waters out there. You know all the trips that I take, and every time you fly into Florida, you're coming on in, and you look down there's some ships out there. It doesn't bother me. I don't care what they're doing on there. Are they gambling? Are they screwing? Are they, whatever they're doing it. And maybe they're having a good time. Oh, that's the problem. Sorry. Maybe they're having a good time. That's where we run into real problems. That's right. They might be having a good time. Did anybody force them, coerce them to go out there?
No.
Did anybody promise them riches and fortunes?
No.
No. That's why they call it gambling. I hate to break the news to you people at the Sun Sentinel. That's why they call it gambling, which you ought to know since you've got the odds, the morning line odds on every sporting event in the history of the human race right there in your newspaper on page 13C today, just like the Herald has been doing for years, while they scream and rail about the evils of gambling and talk a lot of caca that makes no sense whatsoever. And just like the article that I read yesterday, the state of Florida spends no money to set up any regulations for these operations on these cruise ships, none to protect the public. It's a lot easier just to go out there and stage a raid and bring the media in and put on a big circus sideshow than to set up any regulations and put any teeth into it. Because that would require a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of know-how, and maybe it would even actually somehow acknowledge the fact that there is a casino industry. Which, God forbid, that we should do that in the state of Florida because we're hell-bent, we're obsessed. We don't care whether the whole state goes broke. As long as we don't ever have to have real casino gambling in the state, then the powers that be will be happy. That's the only thing that keeps them with a smile on their puss. We don't care about all those crime statistics, about all the FBI lists, which got, half a dozen cities in the state of Florida always up there in the top 10. We're not concerned about that. We're not concerned about the crappy education system. We're not concerned about any of the quality of life, the things that we're lacking here in the state. All we care about, as long as we can keep casinos out of here, then we got a great state. Oh! There you go. Anybody been to Biloxi lately? 10 minutes after 11 at 560 WQA.
America loves to watch boobs and butts and boinking. It's a stunning and heart-stopping terror.
Who's that?
The chilling story of a deaf woman, alone and afraid, and the killer she'll never hear coming.
Why won't you leave me alone?
Academy Award winner Molly Maitland stars in Hear No Evil, a thriller so frightening it'll keep
Hello?
you... So frightening it'll keep
Is
you...
anybody out there?
On the edge of
Is
your...
anybody anymore?
I'm talking.
What?
We're doing a commercial.
Huh?
A commercial. A commercial! We're doing a commercial!
I can't hear you.
Shut up! Shut up!
Do I say my line now?
No!
Help! Help! I'm being assaulted by a killer. I can't hear.
Don't miss Miley Maitland in Hear No Evil. What you can't hear could kill you. And what she can't hear could screw up a really good commercial.
Huh? It's 11:15 at 560 WQM. I mean, this whole thing is so pathetic, you know, and they keep writing this stuff, and there are all the lemmings out there. Oh, yeah, you're right, that's bad stuff, you're right, yeah. Okay, whatever you say. So since I'm on a reading tier here, forget about these phones for a while, okay? I've got stuff here today, okay? I'm loaded. Oh, by the way, thanks to the Julio that called my store out there, my Publix at the Sawgrass, and they're stocking up on my Tyson's seasoned beef strips, and I sure hope they have lots and lots, because I'm prepared to shell out the big bucks. I may take home cases. I may fill up my whole freezer section with that stuff. I may be eating tender, juicy meat all weekend long. I'll tell you that right now. Pros and Cons, The Criminals Who Play in the NFL, by Jim Benedict and Don Yeager. It's in hardcover. It's in your bookstore right now. And as a little tease, a little enticement to interest you in this book, I'll read another couple of pages here, as I've been doing over the weeks. And Don Yeager, if you missed it, called us in early this morning out of the blue, because he's heard a lot of people mention the fact that I've been talking positively about this book. It's not a good book. It's a great book. I mean, you keep talking about the president getting blowjobs, a lot of you. How about all these jocks, these dumb, butcherous jocks that your kids are admiring? These are the role models for America? Is that what it's all about?
Uh-huh.
God. Risky Business, Chapter 3, page 22. On March 22nd, 1992, Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Tim Barnett was arrested for battery against his wife. Barnett appeared before Johnson County District Judge John Anderson III on June 25th and pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of disorderly conduct. Anderson sentenced Barnett to 30 days in jail, but agreed to suspend the sentence if Barnett completed counseling and refrained from further violation of the law for a full year. Then on June 5th, 1993, 3 weeks shy of completing his one-year probation term, Barnett was arrested again. This time, Barnett had assaulted his wife and threatened her with a Colt Python handgun. He was charged with making a terrorist threat and aggravated assault, both felonies, as well as one count of misdemeanor assault. In another plea bargain deal, Barnett pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault and battery. Judge Anderson, on October 27th, then revoked the suspension on Barnett's previous 30-day jail sentence and ordered the wide receiver to jail. But the Chiefs were in mid-season, and Anderson agreed to delay the imposition of the sentence until no later than January 4th, 1994. Presumably, the Chiefs' season would be over by then, and Barnett's incarceration would not interfere with his career. There was one small problem. The Chiefs made the playoffs, and by the time January 4th arrived, the day Barnett was supposed to surrender himself into custody, the Chiefs were 4 days away from hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers in a second-round playoff game. Barnett was one of quarterback Joe Montana's primary receivers, and his presence in the lineup was crucial for the Chiefs to win the game. On the morning of January 4th, Barnett's attorney, William Grimshaw, petitioned Judge Anderson to further delay the imposition of Barnett's jail sentence until after the playoffs were concluded. Barnett's job with the Chiefs would be in jeopardy if he had to miss the playoffs Saturday, insisted Grimshaw. Anderson, whose patience was exhausted, rejected the request and ordered Barnett to jail effective immediately. I can't really justify treating you a whole lot different than I would treat anybody else just because you're a Kansas City Chiefs player, said Judge Anderson from the bench. Now am I supposed to just cross my fingers and hope this time it's going to stick, and next time we're not going to have you in here for hurting somebody real bad? I don't feel comfortable with that. Hours after announcing the sentence, Judge Anderson suddenly took ill and left the courthouse. Meanwhile, Grimshaw filed a notice of appeal and moved for Barnett to be released on bond. Assistant District Attorney Melinda Whitman argued that the appeal should be denied, saying the two sides had previously agreed to sentencing terms and that the appeal would probably be withdrawn as soon as the season concluded. District Judge Pro Tem Robert Morris, sitting in Judge Anderson's place, said he was required to set the bond, which he did at $1,500. Grimshaw secured the bond, and Barnett was released. That's not right, Johnson County District Attorney Paul Morrison told the Kansas City Star shortly after Barnett's release. Mr. Barnett needs to be in there doing his time, not because he's a chief, but because he keeps breaking the law. Yet the Chiefs were glad to have their criminally convicted receiver available for Saturday's game. Our understanding is that he's available to us for the rest of the season, Chiefs Director of Public Relations Bob Moore told the Kansas City Star. Having Barnett in football uniform rather than a jail uniform proved crucial to the Chiefs' success. With less than 2 minutes left in regulation and Kansas City trailing the Steelers by 7 points, Joe Montana was orchestrating one of his trademark come-from-behind drives. Ultimately, Barnett was on the receiving end of Montana's game-tying touchdown pass, sending the game into overtime where the Chiefs went on to win. Barnett's spectacular reception sent sold-out Arrowhead Stadium into a frenzy.
Oh!
The following day, the Kansas City Star dubbed Barnett the toast of the town. His clutch performance caused fans and sports writers to quickly forget that Barnett was a twice-convicted criminal who should have been in jail. The following week, Kansas City was eliminated from the playoffs. Barnett, meanwhile, remained free as he and his attorney continued his appeal. On June 24, 1994, with Barnett still free, Judge Anderson expressed apprehension about Barnett hurting somebody real bad became a reality. That morning, Barnett, along with two friends, was staying at a hotel in Milwaukee. He was in town to attend a friend's wedding. At approximately 11 o'clock in the morning, Tanisha Warren, a 14-year-old housekeeper who was working in her first part-time job, knocked on the door to room 215. Although Barnett and his two friends were inside, they did not respond. Noticing the door was partly ajar, Warren called out, "Housekeeping." Still hearing no response, she repeated, "Housekeeping." Convinced the room was vacant, Warren did as she had been trained, entered the room to clean it. To her surprise, she discovered the three men when she entered. "Do you want any service?" Warren asked nervously. "Yeah," responded one of the men. Walking between the men who were positioned on their respective beds, Warren restocked the room with clean towels and drinking glasses before going in to clean the bathroom. Exiting the room after completing her duties, Warren was stopped by Barnett. Can I ask you a question, he asked. "Yeah," she responded. "What is your phone number?" Barnett asked. Keep in mind, she's 14 years old. Scared and not wanting to divulge her home phone number, Warren handed Barnett a Manchester Suites courtesy card, purposely misspelled her name on it, and wrote down an erroneous phone number. "I didn't want to give him the right number," she would later testify in court. Barnett took the card from Warren. "Can I ask you a question?" he said again. "Yes," she said, as Barnett took her hands and pulled her down toward the bed. "Ain't nobody been in this?" Barnett asked as he put his hands up Warren's housekeeping dress. Thinking that he was asking whether she had ever had sex before, Warren responded, "No." Without warning, Barnett suddenly turned Warren's shoulders and forced her onto her back. "He pulled up my dress, and then he started rubbing on my breasts," Warren later testified. "He was asking me if it felt good. And then he started to rub on my vagina. I kept telling him to stop. I had taken my leg off the bed to get up, and he put my leg back up. Then he put the covers over me. He started licking my ear. He asked me a couple of times, did it feel good? Then he unbuttoned his pants, pulled them down to his knees, and started rubbing his penis against my vagina. He said he was going to put it in. Then he started rubbing on my breast again and was rubbing his penis against my vagina real fast, and then some of me started hurting." Warren made a futile attempt to push against Barnett's chest as she pleaded with him to stop, but she was no match for his strength. Finally, Barnett climbed off her and scurried into the bathroom. Warren noticed that her thighs were wet and her panties had semen on them. While Barnett was in the bathroom, she pulled down her dress, grabbed her caddy full of supplies, and ran out of the room to find her older sister, who also worked at the hotel. After reporting what happened, Warren was brought to the Women's Assessment Center, where she was treated, and samples of blood, pubic hairs, head hairs, and smears and swabs were taken. Her clothes were placed in plastic bags for evidence, and after confiding in her parents, Warren reported the incident to the Milwaukee police. In July, Milwaukee authorities charged Barnett with sexually assaulting a child under the age of 16, a felony carrying a possible 10-year state prison sentence. The following day, the Chiefs, who were involved in training camp, released Barnett. As with every decision we make, we thought it was in the best interest of our football team at this time, head coach Marty Schottenheimer told the press, although it was quite obvious Schottenheimer refused to confirm whether Barnett's release was a result of his arrest for sexually assaulting a minor. On June 12, 1995, a Milwaukee jury convicted Barnett, and he was later sentenced to serve 3 years in prison. On January 10, 1997, after being paroled from a Wisconsin state prison, Barnett returned to Kansas to serve a 30-day jail sentence for the first assault on his wife back in 1992. By this point, his high-powered attorney had withdrawn from representing him, and the Chiefs and NFL teams were no longer interested in him. Attempts to reach Barnett were unsuccessful in the book by the authors. One player, one teenage girl, one rape. It would seem enough to teach a team a lesson. It wasn't. In October of 1997, only 2 years after the Barnett debacle, the Chiefs again made a decision to employ a player with a formidable criminal history. In the quest for the best record in the AFC, the Chiefs made a blockbuster midseason trade for Wayne Simmons, starting linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. Unbeknownst to fans in Kansas City, Simmons was at that moment being investigated for the alleged rape of a teenage girl. Oh! And then it goes on and on, the state of Georgia versus Wayne Simmons, with that story about his penis was here and it was there, etc., and so on. These are the goons. Not all of them, of course, but many, 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 many of them that your kids look upon as role models, as heroes, that pay money to get their autographs, etc., and so on. Buy T-shirts with their uniform numbers on them. These are the guys that some of you assholes out there justify making millions of dollars to play some stupid game, who are functionally illiterate at best and totally illiterate goons and morons at worst. Great book, Pros and Cons, The Criminals Who Play in the NFL, Jeff Benedict and Don Yeager. Go out and get like 20 or 30 copies right now, please. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Those are our numbers. It's 11:25 at QAM.
Friday, you bastard.
Return to Santa. Return to Santa. I got a sweater from my grandma. It was pink and black. But don't worry, be happy, was printed on the back. Oh! He wrote upon it. Return to Santa. Just send me cash. Your tacky sweater gave me a rash. I got a fruitcake and some plaid pants. Hair clip is for my nose. Another bottle of Old Spice. Boy, did I get hosed. He wrote upon that. Return to Santa. Who needs this junk? This year's Christmas really stunk. He wrote upon that. Return to Santa. Don't mean to be rude, but this Christmas I got Scrooged. Return to Santa. Return.
What do you say you got Scrooged this Christmas? It's 11:31 at 560 WQM. I'm telling you, is there a response here or what today?
No.
Wow, these people, I got them fired up. An hour and a half of screaming and carrying on, and they're really worked up, aren't they? Are they worked up?
No.
Here's Miami. Hello. Miami. Okay, they're gone. Which leaves 58 minutes, by the way. They waited on hold, and I got to them, and they left. That leaves one call on the board. Okay, let me try it this way, okay? Let me talk to some people in my care. Let me get the wastebasket out here. Hey, is there anybody in here? Anybody in here that might be interested in anything that I just said? Any comments coming out of here, huh? Is there any crawling object inside this wastebasket? Anybody in here care about what I just wasted my time puking my guts out about for an hour and a half? This is unbelievable. This is the ultimate week in my life, this week on these phones. And, you know, I'm going to tell you something. It was so embarrassing and so depressing to me that I wasn't even going to mention it on the air. Yesterday, unbeknownst to me, Hank was, for whatever reason, maybe he was doing the Jimmy Johnson interview, whatever. Maybe he was getting laid, I don't know. But Hank didn't show up till 3, so they had the kids, the 3 kids doing the show yesterday from 2 to 3, because I'm driving home listening, expecting to hear Hank, hoping to hear Hank, and instead I hear the 3 10-year-old kids doing a show. And they're talking the same usual, Canes and UCLA, and they're the same crap. And 20 after 2, one of them pronounces, oh, well, we better get to these phones because, boy, they're lit up like a Christmas tree. We got a full board of calls here. Let's, you know, and then, of course, it's the usual, the same sports nerds that you hear 20 hours a day. And after the exercise I went through here yesterday, obviously, in fact, every day this week, I'm going to go through again here today to get any response to anything I'm talking about. I'm thinking to myself, what is this all about? We got a full board of calls here, okay? We got 3 5-year-old kids. I could bring my little miniature pincher on here and have him do a sports show. We've got the mad dog, the big dog, the little dog. Let's have the little teeny tiny dog doing a sports show. And the phones would light up like a Christmas tree. Well, do you think Jimmy was respectful enough of that record? Same old tire like on a stuck record. And the people in this audience, it makes no difference what it is that I say, if I scream it, if I read it, if I yell it, if I pee it, no matter what it is, man, you can't squeeze a response out of these people. It's like sucking blood out of a goddamn rock is what it is. Here's Boca. Hello.
Yeah, if you hate it so much, why?
Yeah, okay, Like I said, I want to talk to people who have something to say. Not a song and a dance about me, not if I do this, if I do that. I'm talking to people who have something to say. And like I've said a million times before, anybody who's listening to the show is doing so voluntarily and must be getting off on it, okay? So save it for a rainy day. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Okay.
100% with you, man. Listen, isn't Depot a former addict, gambling?
Meaning what?
Meaning, didn't he go to rehab for that?
No, he did not. Okay, Dade County, wide open, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Every time they go on vacation on the morning show, they're in rehab, okay, pal? But evidently you're too stupid enough to catch on. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello?
Uncle Neil.
Yes, sir.
How are you today?
I'm in total shock. I'm in a total state of shock.
They're going to put you on high blood pressure medicine.
I'm already on high blood pressure medicine.
One thing when I go on the cruises and some of these things, though, I just don't think these places could attract you enough. I mean, the casinos are really small.
Yeah.
And the food's really crummy.
Yeah, I agree.
Stuff, you know what I mean? And I think if they made it more of a, you know,
but that's not
entertainment,
that's not the debate whether it's entertaining or not. Nobody's being forced to go on there. These are people who go on there voluntarily. And they set up for months and months and months this big media staged event, and then they go on there and they put their feet to the fire yesterday, and they have to admit that, well, they're really not sure if they were inside or outside the territorial waters, and no, there wasn't really any money exchanging hands until they were outside of it, and the whole thing is bogus.
Wasn't there an article in the paper saying that they were cheating in some way? The casinos were cheating the customers somehow.
Yeah, and where's the beef? Where's the evidence of that?
No, I'm going to say there's evidence in that, but I mean, you go there.
Let me say it again.
You don't see too many major winners coming off of a boat.
Yeah. So what is your point?
Well, the point is I just think that they need somebody out there. I'm not saying police it, but something.
They need to regulate it. Well, I talked about that yesterday, and the state of Florida doesn't regulate it. They have no regulations.
Exactly. They're 3 miles off the coast, but still, there's people that are going there. I think it needs to be more regulated. And that would probably make them a little bit more obviously exciting and more, you know, entertaining.
No, we're not having a debate here, sir, on whether it's exciting or entertaining. We're having a debate here on whether people should be on there raiding them and confiscating money, most of which they don't even know whether it was gambled legally or illegally. That's what we're debating here. It's people's rights, which you don't seem to understand. We're not arguing, is it glitzy enough? Is it glamorous enough? You know something? I must not be getting my point across here. I've lost the fine art of communications. This guy don't even understand. For an hour and a half, I sat here reading and pontificating and screaming and puking and jumping up and down. And this guy's giving me a song and dance about how they can make it more attractive and more appealing and more glitzy. And we're not talking about what the cruise ships are like Las Vegas, for crying out loud. Jesus Christ, cruise ships are for suckers. I agree with that. But the notion that casino gambling is for suckers, I mean, gambling is gambling. You go to the dog track, you go to the horse track, you go to play the lottery. It's gambling. Getting out on the highway, getting into a car and driving on the roads in this state. This is gambling, okay? And it's something you do voluntarily. And if there are people with gambling problems, with addictive problems, then fine, take care of them. Just like people with drinking problems, with drug problems. And this guy wants to give me a song and dance about how we can glitz up the cruise ships. Here's a mobile in Juno Beach. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Boy, today must be caller knothead day from some of the people I've been listening to.
What do you mean today?
Well, I don't know. I'm not from here. I used to live here, but I've listened every once in a while. When I am down here, what I was going to talk about, excuse me, I'm sure you don't listen to him, but G. Gordon Liddy had the author of that book on pros and cons on his talk radio program, and it was very interesting. And he said when he compiled that book, that
I just had him on this morning, Don Yeager. He was on here with me an hour ago.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just
ago.
tuned on a little bit ago and picked it up. But it was interesting. He said that he could probably fill it about 5 volumes.
Right.
And that he took like the worst case scenarios, that just crime and just the goofballs that are in the NFL.
But like he said to me when I talked to him, and it's very obvious now, there's very little response about this, because as long as these guys can help their team win, the fans don't care. They don't care what you do, how many people you rape, how many people you murder. They don't care about any of that. As long as you're on the team and you can play well and help them win, that's all these idiots care about.
Well, it's a sad thing. It just shows what state of affairs that we as a group of human beings have come to.
Well, not me.
Well, I hope that I'm not either. All right, Neil.
Have a great day,
there, buddy.
Okay. I couldn't give a crap less about any of these glorified jocks. It's pathetic. It's very sad. Tragic. Even more tragic that there are so many people who care as if it's very important. Is that important? It must be.
No.
Oh, yes, it is. Very important stuff. Open line at Dade, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's a mobile in Kendall. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Neil, I do have a life, and I enjoy my life, but I really enjoy listening to your show. I think you have a lot of valid points. And the unfortunate thing is that we do live in a society where more than 50% of our people don't understand English. The other 50% don't talk English. They don't care what's going on. I agree with you that if a basketball player can stuff a ball, they get more excited about that than these clowns who are killing their kids, and that maybe we ought to put a little gambling in town so that we could take money and why spend it on all the people we have on death row? Why don't we just kill them? And I'm not for killing everyone.
Okay, good. Well, it's too bad. He touched all the bases. Let's hear it. Oh! There you go. We got to educate the public. We got to have a little bit of casino gambling. We got to kill all the people right away who are on death row, and then everything will be a picnic. All right. You bring the ants. In fact, I think we got plenty of them in here already. I think some of the ants ran out of space over in the other building, and they're like moving over here. George tells me we got like insects in here. I mean, why should they be the only roach-infested, bug-infested, huh? Why the hell can't we join in? I guess we are. Boy, I'll tell you, the responses we're getting are spectacular. Thank you so much for reinforcing my faith in humanity. 20 till noon at 560 WQAM, your goofball station for the 90s. I'll tell you, I'm sitting here right now enjoying a real great cigar from Nick's. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to calm myself down. Put a big round one in my puss, sit back, put my feet up on a table, fall on the floor, and just have a big smile on my puss. Because Nick's makes the best cigars in the universe. Nick's is the largest manufacturer of premium hand-rolled cigars in the U.S. In fact, when you go down to Nick's, just ask them for a little bit of a tour. They'll give you a no-nonsense guided tour of the whole joint. They'll take you in the back where all those seed pickers are back there, rolling the cigars, and then they'll take you in the cooling rooms and the drying out rooms and all the neat places they have, and show you really all the work and care that goes into making each and every one of these great cigars, which is why they taste so great for you and why they're also so highly rated by Cigar Aficionado magazine and Cigar Insider magazine, the experts who know great cigars the best. So if you want super premium cigars at affordable prices, this is the place for you. Nick's Cigars. You'll find them at 7111 West Flagler, just a mile east off your Flagler Street exit of the Palmetto Expressway. Call them at 305-266-9907. And don't forget, if you can't get down to Nick's during the week, for your convenience, they're open tomorrow and every Saturday, 11 a.m. until 4 in the p.m.
Stick something long in your puss. Get your sticks at Nick's. Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Oh, God.
Pouring through the newborn king.
Who'd believe the heavens said with their speech impediment? Christmas joy their belly bringing, carols through their noses singing. Jesus truly did us wrong when he made them sing this song. What do you mean?
Same thing, Revon can win 20 games this year?
It's 11:45 at 560 WQAM. We have one open line in Dade, one in Broward. For your perusal, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's a mobile in Naples. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir?
Till about 20 minutes ago, I used to be, and I emphasize used to be, a lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan. I think it's negligence on the behalf of the owners
I'm not so busy.
that they would allow their employees to conduct this way.
Yeah.
Well,
they don't care. In other words, if Barnett could, make a contribution in the playoffs, they needed him desperately, and it turned out he did. They didn't care about how long his criminal record was and what he was doing. They didn't give a crap.
Well, I mean, you take this situation and put it into the everyday workplace. Someone, just a normal job. Would this person would they be employed after, having to deal with this much court?
No.
Exactly. That's, we put them outside of the normal boundaries.
Right.
And
you notice the one common theme that recurrent among these jocks is that, women are there to be abused and used, and they're like a play toy. And if they don't cooperate, you beat the crap out of them, and then hope that they'll come back and you can do it all over again.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cycle that's being fed by the fans, the owners, and that we're reinforcing this, that it's okay to behave this way. And we're the ones who, ultimately decide whether it, continues, know, if we keep condoning it, then they have no reason to stop.
Yeah. Well, guess what? The world is still spinning, and there's no basketball season.
Hey, I love it.
Like that.
I'm
Isn't that
not
great?
missing it. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, pal.
Thank you.
Have a great day. 2 open lines in Dade, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. They'll have to find some other freak show. Maybe the circus will come to town. All those 7'2" guys, they'll have to find some other circus to work in, looks like, because there ain't going to be no NBA season. It's very unlikely, okay? And somehow the world is still spinning around. We're still breathing the fresh air. What's left of it? Here's a mobile in Lighthouse Point. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Nick.
Yes, sir.
I heard you talking earlier about the Sun Cruise Casino thing and what a debauchery that was. And the same sanctimonious newspaper is not too far to the right to accept their advertising dollars.
Right.
Page 2C of the sports page today has a giant, see, an ad for Sun Cruise Casino.
Oh, my God, a gigantic eighth of a page ad, no less.
That's correct.
Let's play Las Vegas action, more winners, Sun Cruise Casino, got a winning system, a lucky charm. There's no better place to try it out. December 7th, join us for Canadian night, the holiday slot tournament, et cetera, and so on. Here's the phone number, et cetera, and so on. Isn't that amazing?
Tear them down, but give us your advertising dollars.
We'll take your money, even though we think that you're disgusting and grotesque and that it's a sucker bet, but we'll take your money and we'll put the odds on everything it's illegal to bet on page 13C.
Absolutely correct.
Thanks for the good news.
Take care.
How do you like that? I hadn't even seen that, because who the hell looks at the ads in a newspaper? You get lost in there. This is what you're dealing with, baby. We'll take your money, we'll put your ad in the newspaper, but then we'll write an editorial about how evil you are and about the activities that are going on, what a blight your ships are on the Florida waters out there. Oh, God, what I would give for a real newspaper in this town, for some people with some cajones, with some smarts, with some balls, with some consistency, who are worried about really important things and not about trying to moralize for the entire community. Oh, that line, I just keep looking at it and looking at it. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. The majority of Floridians recognize casino gambling as a sucker's bet that all too often leads to gambling addiction, broken homes, and financial ruin. God. I mean, this sounds like, what's her name? What was her name with the prohibition thing? The crazy woman with the breaking her bottle over people's head. That's what it sounds like to me, all over again. Same old crap. From the Dark Ages, from the Stone Age. Carrie Nation. Jesus Christ Almighty. What do we got? Is Reverend Kennedy running the Sun Sentinel editorial board now? Uh-huh. Is that what it is? Another sanctimonious hypocrite? Here's a lady in Miami. Hello. Lady in Miami.
Yes, hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
Right.
Calling from work. I was just wanting to comment on the football and the gambling. I think the gambling thing is just a big media circus. I mean, Channel 7 just gets off on anything that is, just anything that will get ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And for the sports thing, I totally agree with you about parents having their kids idolizing these guys who are nothing but bad guys.
Right.
And that shows where the values of parents are. You know.
Maybe they just don't have any.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a good day. 2 open lines in Dade, 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Yeah, Bubba's up there. He has to go through a whole grilling that never seems to stop because he got some blowjobs from a young lady who was there specifically for that intent and for that purpose, and opening up a big push to tell everybody in earshot that she could about it. And then they both lied and tried to cover it up just like anybody else does when they have an illicit affair. And that's why we have to drag the whole country through $70 million worth of bullcrap. But when these illiterate athletes get out there on the field on Sunday or whenever they're getting out there, hey, man, all right, let's go out there and subsidize it, baby, and the sky's the limit. Bobby Cox, he beat his wife. How many, this is a common recurrence. If you're a jock, you can beat the crap out of your woman. I guess that must be an unwritten law. I haven't seen that anywhere in the Constitution, but in the sports Constitution of America, if you're in the part of the jockocracy, if you wear a jock strap or you hang around guys who do wear them, then it's okay to beat up your women, okay? Your women. Here's a mobile in Venice. Hello.
Hey, I'm calling from Venice.
Yes, sir.
Venice, listening to you out of Fort Myers, and you would think the goddamn Beasleys would have an 800 number so you could pick up some of the callers out of Fort Myers, but we got a long distance.
Cheap bastards, man.
Geez,
Real champ.
Hey, I was calling about this NFL thing. What's worse about, these guys beating hell out of their wives and everything else and getting to play football is that the owners, management, and everything else would hide it if they could get away with it.
Right.
Without telling people. And that's the sucky thing about it.
Well, you heard what he said, but if you were listening when Don Yeager called in, he said that the mandate has come down that nobody, none of the owners or officials, anybody associated with the teams is supposed to discuss or respond to any of the allegations in this book. They just want to stick it under the carpet and bury it. And you know that the networks, like CBS, which has invested $1 billion now to get the rights to football back again, and Fox, they're not going to talk about any of this because they've got this vested interest. They're not going to shoot themselves in the feet. They got to make their money back.
It's a damn dollar bill, and I tell you, it's disappointing, because like I was watching the Cowboys game, and that's all I could think about, and it took away from the game, and I just shook my head, and just like this basketball thing, I don't care if it ever comes back,
right?
Based on the almighty dollar. And what can we get everybody for?
And Patrick Ewing, who's making $18 million a year, says he's real concerned because he's got to put bread on the table for his family.
I really care.
Yeah.
I really
$18
care.
million a year. He's worried about where the next meal is coming from.
I wish you guys would get an 800 number. I think you'd get a lot more callers out of Fort Myers.
Well, I'm sure we would, and I've suggested that to them. And as soon as I say that, Greg Reed runs like somebody lit a fire under his ass.
Well, tell him, I'm in Naples, which is 60 miles north.
Right.
I'm in Venice, 60 miles north of Fort Myers,
right.
And I got a great signal. So you should be getting more money because you're coming up here, too.
Okay.
Okay?
Have a great day.
All right,
I'll see you in Venezia. 2 open lines in Dade, 5670560. I'll see you in the gondola with Foster Hewitt. 5670560 and pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. God forbid that we should talk about these things on this station, because this, after all, is a sports jock worship all that bullcrap radio station. And just like we said, we could put little barking dogs and monkeys on the air for like an hour, and people will be calling, hey, what's the morning line on that Kansas City game? Oh, God. You think that's spread? You think that Syracuse is going to butch up against Temple? I think some of you guys need to go to Temple is what I think. Get on your knees. Here's Plantation. Hello.
Neil, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
The most upsetting part about that article to me is the fact that they said that the voting population of Florida doesn't want casino gambling. I don't remember it being brought to a vote in 12 years, or 10 or 11 years, I think it was. And then...
Well, I think it's less than that, wasn't it?
I don't think so. But I might be mistaken. But either way, I do remember ads that I'm pretty sure that the cruise ships and the pari-mutuels put together.
And the Bahamas interest, yes.
Right. That I remember one ad in particular was, look what gambling did to Atlantic City, and they showed some really down, depressed neighborhoods in Atlantic City,
right.
As if the casinos brought in that. Those neighborhoods were there for 40 years,
right,
before the casinos came in.
Atlantic City is perfect for these bastards down here because it's a toilet, and that's the one example of real fine casinos in this country that still is a toilet, and so they keep pointing to Atlantic City over and over and over again, as if this town is in the kind of shape that Atlantic City was.
But they saying that they brought in that neighborhood, the casinos. That
right.
Those neighborhoods were there for years and
right.
years. And yes, they didn't fix them up, but that's the governor's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Let that bitch spend some money in Atlantic City, but no, she's too busy filling her pockets and all her other friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ridiculous. This whole thing is ridiculous. Everybody know Bob Butterworth is a jerk. This is just terrible. Keep giving them hell.
Welcome to Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, see ya. See you in Paramus. Yeah, same old crap, same old tired faces, the Bobby Butterworths and the Ken Jennings, same old tired retreads, the Ileana Gross Leightonens, all these super moralists, comunista, maricón, yeah, same old crap. Xavier Suarez, illegal signatures on petitions, absentee ballots defrauded, dead people voting, nobody cares. Hey, at least you get used to it, though, because it's one thing about consistency. It kind of like, fits in like a rubber glove. 4 minutes before noon at 560 WQAM. Here's
Come on in and lay down on my couch.
Every so often, an artist comes along that captures in song the true spirit of Christmas. Now that hallowed tradition lives on.
'Cause here he comes, the hardest working man in snow business, the godfather of Noel, Mr. James Brown.
Holy master, on his comb, yeah, on his back. See the virgin, and it's Christmas carry-on. Let's go, wild. Woo!
Yes,
let's go.
a James Brown Christmas star.
Come on.
A two-record set that puts the soul in your white Christmas.
Christmas time, and you better watch out. Better not try now. Better not pout. Telling you why, yeah. Santa's got a brand new bag.
Why be good for Christmas when you can be bad? Start rocking your stocking with a James Brown Christmas.
Wow, hack the hearing, angel sing. Tell it to that newborn king. I feel broke.
12:02. Well, if you'd stop gambling. 12:02 at 560 WQM. You know, it seems to me the editorial board of the newspaper, aren't they supposed to, like, set the trend, even though they're separate from the commercial pages and the other parts of the paper, aren't they supposed to set the trend and the tone for what a newspaper stands for and is all about? It would seem to me. Isn't that what it's all about? Well, it's interesting in the same sports section, and this is not unusual because I've mentioned this many times before, but the same newspaper that editorializes with their goody two-shoes attitude about the cruise ships, they do have an ad for the Sun Cruise Casino, as the guy pointed out on page 2C, a big, very prominent ad. And on page 12C is newspapers all across America. See, the reason they put these ads in because guys like getting laid and they like to gamble, in that order. And here you are, a half a page on page 12C, Park Avenue Female Escorts, Alexandra's Escort Service, young and beautiful. $20 discount on credit cards, by the way, from Alexandra's. Southern Comfort, private suites, friendly staff, Joan Powell Escorts, Escorts, all perfect 10, adorable models and escorts, Porky's Christmas Party, Heather Hooters, Fort Lauderdale's home of sophisticated adult entertainment, the best friction in town, all right.
Oh!
Lunch on us at Pure Platinum, Scarlett's, Tootsie's, Goldfinger, Ginger Lynn, Tees Lounge, Treasure Island Inc., Diamond Dolls, on and on and on and on, escorts, bachelor parties, models, hookers, whores, etc. See, they don't give a crap whose money they take. They don't care about it because they don't have it. They're a bunch of, like I told you, sanctimonious hypocrites. I'd sure love to see the skeletons rattling around in the closets of those people, those assholes who sit on the editorial board of the Sun Sentinel. I just love to see those skeletons, baby. Probably fill up the whole New York Museum of Natural History with them. But casino gambling, the majority of Floridians have already discovered it's a sucker bet and all too often leads to gambling addiction, broken homes, and financial ruin. Just look at Nevada out there, man. There's poor schleppers like lying in the streets. They're under overpasses. Oh, that's here? Here's a lady in Fort Lauderdale. Hello. Lady in Fort Lauderdale.
Hi, is this Neil?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, goodness. I work over at Digital World, and my boss has turned me into a total Neely.
Great.
Okay. I was wondering if by chance you could put on a Learning to Spell with Darnell.
Okay.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
What am I missing?
Oh, they're the people that gave us the satellite dish receiver.
Oh, I didn't hear what she said. She works at what world?
Digital World.
Oh, Digital World. I didn't hear what she said. I thought she said something. Okay, we have an open line at Broward, 5670560 and pound 560. We love our friends at Digital World. They gave us our satellite dish so that we can watch this goofball now investigating the president on CNN right now as I speak. How's that market doing? We better not be losing those gains we had earlier in the day. 124 up. Let's hear it.
Oh!
NASDAQ up 33. That's like 165 Dow points.
Oh!
All right, it's about time. We got a little bit back from the rest of the week, okay? Speaking of gambling, see, that's another thing. I don't care what anybody gives me a song and a dance, any pseudo-intellectuals. I have never read an article in either newspaper, the Sun Sentinel or the Miami Herald, about the evils of Wall Street gambling. Have you ever read such an article?
No.
And you never will. And I don't care, you can call it investing, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Guess what? There's only one word for it, as I've well discovered these last couple of years. It is gambling. It's gambling without the fun. You go to the track, you go to a casino, you gamble, you have some fun. Maybe it's frustrating, maybe it's exhilarating, maybe it's exciting, maybe it's boring, but at least you have a little bit of fun along the way. Wall Street, all you can do is sit back. You're helpless. You're hopeless. All the experts, you talk to 10 experts, 5 of them tell you one thing, 5 tell you something else, and all 10 of them usually are full of crap. Gambling. But of course, we know nobody ever goes broke because they put all their money into stock. Nobody ever loses millions and millions and millions of dollars in the stock market, right? And nobody gets addicted like those people that quit their jobs and they're sitting gambling online all day, investing in the market. You've seen that, I'm sure. They quit their jobs and they sit around, and what they do is they invest all day, and they're gambling online. They're gambling on Wall Street all day. That's not gambling. When's the editorial coming in our newspapers about the evils of Wall Street, huh? Here's Biscayne Gardens. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes,
you saw
sir.
my thunder, because I was just going to say, isn't stock market a little gambling? In other words, but you're missing the whole point
And what is that?
of the casino ships. They're registered in foreign ports, so they're not making any money over here. That's why they raided it.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem.
Well, that's one good way to suck the money off the ship anyway. That's right.
You know, that's why they did what. Can we do the same thing when they do a follow-up investigation, or somebody takes money from government funds? Can we go in there and shut them down and close down their offices?
Close down whose offices?
The governmental offices.
No.
We can't do that, can we?
No, but I'll visit you like on alternate Fridays. We have an open line in Broward a day, wherever the hell that line is. I don't know where these lines are. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. I mean, I don't care if we get a tremendous response, if we don't get any response. The fact is that anybody with a brain is just nauseated and revolted at just another display, another media hype job for public consumption about what a goody two-shoes bunch of politicians we got up there in Tallahassee and in the Broward County Sheriff's Department. We already knew that. You don't have to go out of your way. We already know that everything is evil and illegal and should be prohibited, and we should be repressed and kiss the ground and thank you for doing it to us. We understand that. We have many, many years of learning that, living in this Neanderthal goddamn backwater state. We understand that. Even the goddamn wildlife is repressed in this state. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Miami, yes, sir.
Just a point regarding this Butterworth thing. A few months ago, reading in the newspaper, there was a girl that went to Gulliver Academy here in Miami who was handicapped, and they asked her to leave the school because her needs were more than the school could provide for this young lady. She needed help going to the bathroom. She needed help walking, and her mother basically misrepresented how badly handicapped this girl was when she applied. And Bob Butterworth got all over this thing, and so did the newspaper, and they made a big deal out of it. And they were putting the school down. And it was a horrible thing to watch. The school has done wonderful things for a lot of people down through the years. So it's just another thing to make you nauseous over.
Okay, well, at least he's consistent anyway. He may not be good, but at least he's consistent. And you know what do we say about Bob Butterworth? Let's all say it together. He's an asshole. Always has been, always will be. Former Sheriff Butterworth from Broward County. One great thing about Broward County, you know, you got Sheriff Nick that we used to have. We've sure had a great long line of, prestigious sheriffs in Broward County. Really know their stuff. Just ask my good friend over there at the market, the flea market. Preston and his hen. 9 minutes after noon at 560 WQAM.
Strolling forward bit out from our assholes. Sportsback Radio WQAM.
I'm seething like a white Christian.
Oi!
About the Jews and gay homos. How I'd love to bury those Christ-killing fairies who don't know the Bible like I know. I'm seething like a white Christian, and how we all must think and act alike, and not to think whenever it's appropriate. Yeah, wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody in the world was white and Christian, and looked the same, and said the same things?
Boring.
I don't think so. No, to me, that would be paradise and the Republican way. I see thee like a wise Christian, and how we all must think alike. All the gays, black and yet love must die until everybody's Christian and
whack. Yahoo's right. 1216, that's the word, Yahoo. They're doing pretty good, by the way, on the stock market. Oh, don't talk about that again. It's gambling. Speaking of that, I keep looking at the headline on this editorial in your Scum Sentinel this morning. Crackdown on gambling votes a sure winner for state citizens, as if something really fantastic has been accomplished. And then you look at the other article in the same newspaper in another section, territorial calculations of officer in question, and they're having another hearing that's going on right now as I speak. So obviously the whole thing is vague and ambiguous and up in the air as far as whether they really were in violation of the law, but a sure winner for state citizens. Not because they were in the right, not because they confiscated money that was necessarily being gambled illegally. We don't know. Do we know?
I don't know.
Exactly. But because it was at least an attempted crackdown on something that's evil and disgusting and has got to stop right now.
No.
Yes, it does. Now.
Oh!
Because they are fired up and pissed off at the Scum Sentinel about you bastards that want to gamble your lunch money away. And they're going to come to your house and hold you right by the hand and prevent you from doing damage to yourself. Here's a mobile in Margate. Hello. Mobile in Margate.
Hi, Neil. First-time caller, long-time listener?
Yes, sir.
I'm almost out of battery power here. Great show today. I was just calling to let you know that I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'm not a gambler, but this state has all of its priorities mixed up.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago, I was up in Tallahassee. I had a medical exam done in a hospital, and overpriced, double billed for things I was able to prove, able to document. I have family who are doctors and nurses in other states around the country.
Right.
Hospitals in Tallahassee are charging more for tests than what a hospital in Manhattan, New York would charge, which is supposed to be more expensive. I contacted the Attorney General's office, the Insurance Commission's office, the papers. This is around the time all the Columbia investigations were taking place. Nobody wanted to listen because I was one little citizen not being backed by the federal government and its budget. And they said, send us documentation where this double billing was taking place. I did so. They would send a letter to the hospitals, and the hospitals would reply back, we checked the records, there was no double billing. And they would accept those answers.
Oh, yeah, sure.
The agencies which are out to protect us are protecting the hospitals,
right?
And they're getting away with it. And the state is a laughing stock, which is the reason why most of the Columbia investigations were taking place in Florida, because they can get away with it down there. Yeah. Just wanted to add it. Great show today.
Good luck to us, pal. Have a great day. We have an open line at Broward, 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. See, at least one thing in this state, we're consistent. We can't get anything done. Talking yesterday about automobile inspection. Do we have any?
No.
Well, they stick that pipe up your rectum, your car's rectum. That's about it. Grab $10 out of your wallet. People driving around without insurance. Have we ever really gotten that thing straightened out?
No.
Where you must absolutely positively have insurance to drive in this town, especially in Dade County?
No.
No. Things that happen just as easily as crawling out of bed in the morning in other states in this country, we just can't make them happen here. We just can't seem to get around to making them happen. Here's Orlando. Hello.
Hey, what's happening, Neil? Listen, I'm sorry to change the subject here, but I know you love Amsterdam, and I am traveling to Amsterdam on the 26th of December.
Right.
But unfortunately, I didn't reserve any hotels, and it's all booked up, or so they say. And could you give me a few hotels that would not too expensive, but not too cheap, but
not too expensive and not too cheap.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they told you they're all booked up, then what am I going to give you? I don't understand the question.
Maybe you might know some fine little bed and breakfast somewhere in Amsterdam.
No, I mean, they have those places, but I mean, I'm one of those people. I don't travel 5,000 miles across the world and then get there and start looking around for a place to stay. But they do have youth hostels, and they got a place where I think it's called a meeting point, where young people come and they go there and they just find accommodations for them. I think that's what you'll have to do. You'll have to go there and check places out like that, the youth hostels.
Yeah, but I'm going there for New Year's Eve. That's got to be a riot, huh?
I would think so.
Yeah,
you don't have to go New Year's Eve for it to be a riot. It's a riot every Eve.
Yeah, but even now, being that it's the New Year's time, it's going to be crazy. But I thank you very much for whichever, and your show is just wonderful. I listen to you on the internet, and you're just rocking, babe. Take care.
Good luck, pal. Have a good time.
Thanks. Bye.
We have an open line. See, when you're young, you can do that. Like the guys who use the backpack and travel, schlep all over the country. You can do that, and who knows? Of course, it won't be all that cold. It'll only be like late December, early January. It might get up to like 30 some of the days. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. He'll find a place. Trust me when I tell you. He'll find a place, or he'll find somewhere to stay warm. Here's Key West. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Neil. How you doing?
Great.
I just want to make a comment about that book, Pros and Cons.
Yeah.
I think the major problem is, and I'm not defending the athletes, is that a lot of them come from broken homes.
Yeah.
And when they start out in high schools, playing football or whatever, and the coaches in the high schools, they don't care about them. So they just run reckless. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this. How many people who come from broken homes, how many people who come from a decent home have an opportunity to go play a sport and make millions of dollars and be admired and be put up on a pedestal and to be treated like royalty? How many people ever in their lifetime have that opportunity?
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that
No, that's what I'm saying.
I know.
You can't keep making an excuse for yourself about your bad childhood. It's like people that want to make excuses for O.J., who grew up in a ghetto, and about his bad childhood. I mean, O.J. Simpson was a multimillionaire who was admired by millions all over the world, not just in America, and he went and killed 2 people, okay? Is that supposed to be an excuse?
No, it's just that I say that these people need guidance, and they're not getting it from the coaches and the people that are in the school system and stuff like that. And once they become pros, nobody cares in the pros as long as they can catch the ball. They don't care.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. When you got the Tom Osbornes of the world, when you got the criminal coaches who don't give a crap and who are willing to just do anything to cover it up, and then, of course, they give you a big song and a dance and a story about how they try to give them assistance and they try to be their friend. And like even Dennis Erickson used to go out drinking with the guys. How do you like that? Can't be a much closer buddy than that. Even though they were maybe a little bit underage, but Dennis wanted to be everybody's buddy at UN, went out drinking with the boys. Now, the guy's got a valid point, and that is that, you're dealing with people who are just using and manipulating people, and for the most part, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, they don't give a crap about those things. If you can run fast, if you can throw the ball, if you can catch the ball, if you can kick the ball, if you can do whatever it is that we're trying to do, that's all we care about. The rest of it, we don't give a crap. I'm surprised that one guy hasn't called, though, that one apologist. Every time the subject comes up, last time I brought it up, in fact, the first day that I got the book and talked about it, he was there just like clockwork. Oh, and you've got to understand, these kids grew up in ghettos. Oh, yeah. My heart is bleeding, okay? We have an open line at Broward, 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. Here's a mobile in North Miami. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Neil, I had just finished that book, Lost Rights, a couple of days ago, and I was bringing that book over to discuss it with Gus Boulis.
Sure fits right in, doesn't it?
It's intriguing. It was an irony based on the fact that I just finished it, and he wanted to talk about it, and I was going to meet him over at his boat, and he said, come over to the office. So he's a pretty close personal friend of mine, basically, because I've never met a guy like that in my life. He jumped off a boat in Toronto when he was 14 years old and started Mr. Submarines. And by the time he was 20-odd years old, it made, I don't know, tens of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had come down to the U.S. and started the Mr. Submarine, which evolved into Miami Subs, which evolved into being he's a huge owner of real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And about 4 years ago, he started Sun Cruise, and he started with the one boat down in Key Largo, etc., and he owns the Key Largo Marriott. It took him 13 years to do that project based on the environmental considerations.
Mm-hmm.
13 years from when inception to completion of the project because of about 12 different agencies that got involved with, a little coral, a little this, a little that. And he opened the place without an occupancy permit. Yeah, because there was some technical violation.
Yeah.
He's made some people angry. But what he basically is probably the most evolved soul I've ever met. The guy's 48 years old, employs directly or indirectly over 10,000 families.
Yeah.
He drives a truck that's worth no more than $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
When he got into that trouble back 3-4 months ago...
Well, I don't have time. I mean, I appreciate that. I don't want to go through his whole life story here today. That's
No, but with the feds, remember the feds raiding his offices 4 months ago?
No, I really don't, no.
Where the 20 federal agents came into his office and accused him of some arcane technical violation of shipping laws based on a law in 1916.
Yeah.
A maritime law saying that a non-foreign national couldn't have any interest in a commercial vessel.
Yeah, and?
They're attempting to fine him $48 million for that violation.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant, isn't it?
And?
They trumped up a law.
And the upshot is, we're out of time. Okay. I mean, I appreciate this guy's a good friend of his, and I wish this guy all the luck in the world, even though I'm never going to, frequent his cruise ships, and I have no interest in any of that. But the fact is, we don't have time to hear his whole life story. Oh, we have an open line at Date 1 in Broward. 5670. I feel a lot better, though, now. It sounds of silence, I feel like. Yeah, there it is. 5670560 and pound 560 on the mobile one line. 1226 on QAM.
I don't know what it is, but it's moving.
All right.
The wife is missing. Didn't ask for her permission. I'm wearing her clothes, her silk pantyhose, walking around in women's underwear.
Oh!
In the store, there's a teddy with little straps like spaghetti. It holds me so tight, like handcuffs at night, walking around in women's underwear.
In the office there's a guy named Melvin. He pretends that I am Murphy Brown.
He'll say, are you ready? We'll say, whoa, man. Let's wait until the wife is out of town. Later on, if you wanna, we can dress like Madonna. Put on some high shade and join the parade. Walking around in women's underwear. Ladies wearing her clothes, silk pantyhose, walking around in women's underwear, walking around in women's underwear, walking around in women's underwear.
Water spot's not good, it's great. Okay, 1233 at 560 WQM. Words to live by from our good friend Tom Hopkins. What's going on, Tom?
Hi, Neil. I just wanted to, your book, Pro and Con, just kind of struck a chord. I used to broadcast the Chiefs, and I didn't know if that book touched on John Matuzak.
I haven't gotten to that part yet, if it does.
Oh, because they hit him for a long time. And, Lamar Hunt's a loser of the first order.
Yeah.
And you happen to remember that after the loss that the Chiefs just suffered, he apologized to the community, and so did the coach?
Yeah.
So would they apologize for all these goons they had?
Mm-hmm.
Nah. I just wanted to put that in your mix. I missed the part. I'd love to have heard the interview with this guy.
Oh, he was great.
Hardly a surprise, though, is it?
No, not at all. No.
And
you know something? Nobody gives a crap. They really don't. As long as their team wins, as long as these goons can score a touchdown or whatever it is that they're doing, they don't give a crap.
No, and you're exactly right. Too bad the book isn't number one a lot of places. I would give you one other thing in closing, and that is that my wife was at that all-day seminar yesterday with Zig Ziglar and all the rah-rah people in Joan London.
Yeah.
Did you know that Zig Ziglar is born again, and that's what he preaches now?
No.
Yes, and so does Tom Hopkins. My wife walked out, and she said there was a guy in a yarmulke who walked out, too.
Yeah.
So they've got a new message.
Great.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
All right, then. Happy holidays.
God bless you, Tom, and back at you.
All right, now.
See ya. What did he just say? We have two open lines in Broward. 5-6. Well, you know what Tom always says, don't you?
Water spot's not good, it's great.
And I think he's trying to prove it. 5670560 and pound 560 on a mobile one line. Here's a mobile in Kendall. Hello.
Yes, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Neil, didn't you accept, or didn't your station accept advertising from Charleston, Heston and the gun nuts and from Jeb Bush.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that different from what the newspaper is doing regarding gambling?
Well, what does that mean? A radio station is not a newspaper. Our radio station doesn't...
Part of the media, Neil.
What is it?
It's part
But
of
our
the
radio
media.
station doesn't editorialize. We have talk show hosts on who have different opinions on a variety of subjects, but that has nothing to do with the commercials that we take. We are here to admit that we're a bunch of whores, and we'll take advertising from virtually anybody who'll spend the money. We admit that. We're not here to moralize for the community or editorialize to try to protect people from whatever it is.
Neil, every day of the week you editorialize. But what you just said is an honest statement.
No, but what I say doesn't stand for the radio station. I don't speak for Beasley Rebroadcasting. In fact, we have a disclaimer at the beginning of the show that says that.
Yeah, and the newspaper doesn't speak for the publisher. It speaks for the
The
editorial
editorial board is the voice of the newspaper. That's the message that the newspaper is giving to the community. And when it says crackdown on gambling boats, a sure winner for state citizens, and then they've got an ad for the very same outfit that they're ripping in the editorial, and they've also got an article in their news pages saying that it's vague and ambiguous and maybe nothing really happened on there and it may all be a bunch of bullcrap, they better get their act together because they're being grotesquely inconsistent, and their psychosis about casino gambling indicates to me that they need mental help at the Scum Sentinel.
Neil, I agree with you on your position about the gambling and the deprivation of due process of law.
And what about all the morning line odds in there? Isn't that rather hypocritical to be talking about people losing their money and losing their lunch money and gambling addictions, and then putting in odds on every kind of ball game under the sun on the sports pages when there's no place in this state that you can place a legal bet on any of those games?
Yes, of course it is. But, for you to criticize the paper for doing the same thing that your radio station does.
We're not. I just got through explaining it to you. We're not doing the same thing. This is not a newspaper. This is not a place with an editorial board.
Despite the fact that you aren't identified as an editorial board, what you are doing is giving editorial
Sir,
comment.
let me say it again. Robert, there's no point in arguing with you because you've already got your mind made up, and it'd be like having a discussion with a goddamn rock, okay? Robert Steinbach's got a column in the newspaper in the Herald, okay? The Herald vehemently opposed to casino gambling, just like the Sun Sentinel. In fact, maybe even more psychotic about it. But Robert Steinbach is a columnist within that newspaper, expressing his opinion, which makes a lot of sense. He calls it high-stakes harassment. He's not speaking for the editorial board. I'm talking about the hypocritical editorial board. These are the higher-ups, the big goody two-shoes guys that are part of the operation that run the newspaper. They're the voice of the newspaper, damn it. Don't you understand that? Don't you get it?
No.
Jesus. This radio station takes but like I said, at least we've got all kinds of people on the air here that'll speak their piece, just like Robert Steinbach did, and believe me, that's an exception. Here's Miami Beach. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes,
Great
sir.
show.
Yes, it is.
Let me ask you something. The lottery that we bet on a daily basis, isn't the winning numbers usually put on in the newspapers?
Right.
So what I can't understand is if they're so against...
But that's not casino gambling, don't you understand? There are no slot machines with the lottery.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Casino gambling is the evil gambling. Nobody loses their lunch money on the lottery, and only millionaires buy lottery tickets. There are no schleppers out there spending money that they can't afford to buy up lottery tickets in pie-in-the-sky hopes of winning 30 or 40 million.
Yeah, that's true. But wouldn't Miami Beach be a nice place to have casino gambling? I mean, it's not the best place in the world.
What do you mean Miami Beach? What's wrong with Hollywood Beach? What's wrong with
Hollywood Beach? Sure.
What's wrong with West Palm Beach? What's wrong with the entire state of Florida with our beautiful beaches and our great climate, as opposed to people going and freezing their ass off in the winter in Atlantic City, which is a toilet? What would be wrong with that?
I think that.
And you know something? Don't hold your breath. Believe me, the last thing I'm going to do is, with all respects to Casino Stan and anybody else, is waste my time getting into a discussion about, we got to have casino gambling in Florida. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And like I've said before, there's no passion in this state for anything, and especially in this town, there is no passion for anything. Just sit back and fix elections and this kind of crap, this kind of showboating, grandstanding for the media. Is there any passion about it?
No.
Are people worked up about it?
No.
Is anything going to change?
No.
So what's the point? Something to talk about, but you look at the nature of the millions of people who have moved here, and most of them are actively indifferent. They work at it. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to hear from this. That's why you watch. They will ramrod a new stadium for the Marlins. You watch, because the public will sit back and they'll let them steamroll over them again, and they'll take whatever kind of crap they dish out again. And if it goes to an election, to a referendum, they'll fix it, just like they did with the arena in Miami. If you want to vote no, you'll have to vote yes. The same old crap that they do every other time. Confuse and do shadow box and just pull the wool over everybody's eyes. And the public sits back and they all say, okay, there you go. 2 open lines in Dade, 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile 1 line. 20 before 1.
It's Friday, you bastard. You walk like Michael Jackson, la 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 la. Handsome pelvic thrusting action, la 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 la. Don we now our leather jackets, la 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 la. It's that crowbar up and wax it, la 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 la. Red your shirt off, show some nipples, la 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 la. Squeeze your buns like Mr. Whipple, la 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 la. You'll always get a big reaction, la 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 la. If you grab your ball like Michael Jackson, la 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 la. Merry Christmas, Bubba. Grab your ball like Michael Jackson, la 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 la.
All right. 1245 at 550 WQAM. That guy that called a couple of calls ago, but people like that, I try to give him a lot of time. He's making his point. First of all, it was a ballot issue. Remember we had that series of amendments that were on it? It was a ballot issue. So unless it's a spot that is extraordinarily, like, just outrageous, you know, you really don't have too much choice in taking political spots, okay? But and plus the fact that we are a whoremonger station like all the rest of them. And we'll take ads for virtually anything because we want the money and need it desperately. But if we had the management of the station, running a series of staunch editorials and foaming at the mouth about an issue, and then we ran a bunch of, marginal spots for the other side of it saying exactly the opposite, then I'd have to question our sanity and responsibility.
Mike Disney used to do those editorials.
Editorials, that's right. Yeah, I know. Oh, jeez. We're going to have to really... Mike Disney, huh? It's not in here.
That's my opinion. I'm Mike Disney.
Where the hell did you find that?
That's my opinion. I'm Mike Disney.
I'm just stalling for time. We have an open line at Dade 1 in Broward, 5670560 and pound 560 on the mobile 1 line. Here's Key Largo. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Yes, just want to give you a few facts on what happened yesterday. I'm a dealer on that casino boat.
Yeah.
We were out well beyond the 3-mile limit when I looked out the picture window, and there were 4 or 5 boats out there full of men in black, so I knew something was going down.
Uh-huh.
Within seconds, they were all over us. We couldn't move. Customers couldn't touch their money.
Yeah. They couldn't touch it?
They couldn't touch it. The one gentleman I was dealing to, I was at a high-stakes table. He was up around $3,000. It just didn't seem it made any sense to me. All he had to do was get on the bullhorn and say, follow us into the dock, and we would have followed him. But we couldn't touch anything.
Right.
Luckily, we have a really good assistant casino manager, and he talked the men were very polite, but he talked them into letting the customers take their winnings with them. But they wouldn't let the dealers take their cash tips with us. They just said we couldn't touch anything. They searched everybody before we got off the boat. It was the most unbelievable thing.
Well, how can they do that? If the cash tips is money that was given to you by the patrons, what have they got to do with that money? Well, that's not money that was being gambled.
That's exactly what I told this one
What
gentleman.
right do they have to that?
They had no right, and I told him, I said, this doesn't belong to the owner. It doesn't belong to anybody. Some of the dealers had, $700-800 in tips there that they were going to use for Christmas.
Right.
But we couldn't touch anything. Nothing. They took everything. It was 10, 15 of them, all dressed in black. They were very polite.
Yeah.
But we couldn't move. We couldn't go anywhere. I wanted to go down to the galley to get the lunch that I brought with me. I had to be followed down there. And, of course, they brought a female officer on board to search all of the ladies and a male officer to search all of the men. But
To search for what?
Who knows? I guess they thought we were taking off hundreds of thousands of Gus's money. I'm a gambler myself. When I don't deal, I love to go gambling. I know it's a gamble.
I never gamble with scared money. We have a lot of good gamblers out there, and then we have people who do have a problem. But that's in any walk of life.
Right.
I mean, in any.
You go to the racetrack and find people with a gambling problem. You don't have to go on a cruise ship or to Vegas.
I don't think our government can be stupid too much longer. They have to realize that they're losing millions of dollars a day by not legalizing casino gambling.
Right. That's the reason those ships are out there in the first place, because people want to gamble. That's why people are on their way to the Bahamas as we speak right now, because people want action. They want to have a good time. They do it voluntarily. Nobody holds a gun to their head and makes them do it, and they want to have a good time.
Well, the guy told me, he said, yeah, you can't touch your own money because we're under orders from Butterworth. And the casino manager asked him, are we within the 3-mile limit? He says, no. He says, well, why are you seizing everything? And he says, we don't have to tell you. We're just under orders from the state attorney's office. So we definitely couldn't get our money. But the state attorney's office, it was just, they have to realize that we can't go on. We got the most beautiful beaches in the world. It would be perfect for gambling.
Well, don't hold your breath. Good luck, pal.
Thank you very much.
Okay, hope it works out for you. How do you like that? Can't even take their tips because of what? Because they just decided they're going to come in here and confiscate. Just like James Bovard says in a book, Lost Rights, when they say they're going to come in and confiscate, they come in and they confiscate, and maybe you'll get it back, but probably not. So when I've been telling you for a very long time that we live in a police state, here's an exercise right here in the last 48 hours. Great example for you, police state. But they're protecting the citizens of Florida. And what the hell do the citizens of Florida care about it anyway? What has it got to do with us? Does it have anything to do with us? Are we getting any of that revenue that's being gambled on there? No. Of course not. I mean, if you're going to force people to go outside the territorial waters and all those ships are registered to who knows whatever countries, we don't get any of that revenue. So not only are we helping the citizens of the state of Florida, but those citizens and tourists and anybody else that wants to go out and have a good time, we're also harassing the hell out of them. Let's put the cruise ships out of business. Let's put everybody else out of business so they can be as Neanderthal as we are. There you go. Oh! Good thinking. Because we got to protect the public against this evil gambling thing. God damn it. I would swear that I see entries for the racetracks in there in the sports section in the Sun Sentinel every day. And like I said to that guy before, you can draw that parallel, and I see what you're saying about the radio station and this and that. But what does that have to do with morning line odds on there for a newspaper that is so goody two-shoes and editorially opposed to the evils of gambling and people losing their lunch money? There is no place in this town, there is no place in this state where you can legally gamble on those games that they've got the odds on there. And please don't tell me it's just for somebody's information, okay? Just for informational purposes only. Here's the morning line odds on girls' volleyball games. Man, oh man, a Shevitz. You can smell the stench. All you have to do is go out and get the fish wrappers off your goddamn driveway every morning, and as soon as you roll the plastic off of there, you can smell the goddamn stench right in your face of the crap that they peddle for news in this town. 2 open lines in Dade, 5670560 and pound 560 on the mobile 1 line. Here's a call from Phoenix. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
Long-time listener and first-time out-of-town caller.
Great.
Moved out here about a year and a half ago. Tried to find you a few months ago and realized you went over to QAM.
Right.
How long have you been over there with the Jock Sniffers?
Almost a year.
Really?
We have 26 days from today. It'll be a year, not that I'm counting.
And things working out for you there?
Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah?
They never stole a freight train here. Their checks clear every 2 weeks.
Gotta like that. That's the most important
thing. That's what it's all about. That's the only thing it's about. You bet.
Keep you in the driver's seat of those new Corvettes. You still got some of those laying around?
Yes, I do. I got 2 nice ones. Well, at least you got a good hockey team out there in Phoenix anyway.
Yeah, they do. They're doing all right.
I don't understand it, but they win like almost every day. They finally lost the other night, but first time in years.
Yeah, the Panthers are coming in next month. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well,
sort of.
Yeah.
No, I don't even know if I'll recognize anybody on the team anymore.
Not too much.
No. How about those Dolphins? They're doing all right.
Yeah.
So?
Whatever.
Not too crazy, huh? Hey, I heard the guy talking about the gambling issue down there, and things haven't changed, huh?
No, they're never going to change here. It's the same newspapers brainwashing the public and screaming and yelling and gnashing of teeth and, it's evil and all the other bullcrap. In the meantime, people are losing their ass on this lottery, which is the biggest ripoff in the history of mankind. They still can't make sure that all the money is going to education, which it was supposed to go. We got the worst education system next to Louisiana in the country, and it's the same old crap because the public sits back, and as long as you give them a cheap early bird and whatever else they want, they don't care. They just don't give a crap. But we do have our nice new Macarena open, though, if they're in Sunrise, the National Car Rental Yenta Center.
Macarena, what is that?
The new hockey arena.
Oh, that's right.
I call it the Macarena because Mac McGuire hit numbers 56, 7, 8, and 9 here just before they opened the arena, so I christened it.
Oh,
Macarena
okay.
sure sounds better than the National Car Rental Yenta Center.
That's ridiculous.
Well, listen, have a great life out there, pal.
All right, thanks.
And watch out for the cactus and those nasty pricks. We have an open line in Broward and 2 in Dade, 567-0560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. I mean, you know, it's like these people in the newspapers are writing to a bunch of little children, like a bunch of idiots. A bunch of people have never been outside the goddamn state borders here. Oh, don't you understand how evil this is? Oh, God almighty, give me a break. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And you can just hear all the arguments. Oh, yeah, well, you were telling us about all that traffic congestion on the Strip in Vegas. Well, guess what? We wouldn't have any Strip here, okay? There wouldn't be any Strip. You know, where the Diplomat is, there's a casino over there. There's a couple of casinos on it. They've laid it out a million times. They've tried every goddamn way except sticking a casino in there, and they still can't get it through. Now, the last time it was on a ballot, at least it passed in Broward. Oh! Thank God, those of us in Broward. And it's interesting to me, by the way, the Sun-Sentinel is a Broward newspaper. It publishes in Broward. Its home is in Broward. And the voters in Broward, by the way, said, yes, the casino gambling last time was on a ballot. I guess you people on the editorial board of the Sun-Sentinel must be suffering from CA, convenient Alzheimer's. That's right. Somebody all of a sudden got your memory. Since you're so concerned about the voice of the people of the state of Florida, well, the people of the county that you publish your rag, your scum rag in, they said yes. You assholes. But don't confuse the Sun-Sentinel with the facts, because it's the goody two-shoes right-wing assholes from the Chicago Tribune. They're the ones that are carpetbagging down here, telling us how we ought to live our lives and what this town ought to be all about. 2 open lines a day, 567-0560 and pound 560 on the mobile one line. We got Hank coming up at 2. We got the Bookster at 6, Eddie Decay at 10 o'clock tonight.
It's the 1 to 2 hour.
Silent fart, deadly fart. It can tear your nose apart. You can't hear it, but you can tell. Someone did it by that awful smell. What the hell did you eat? It smells just like rotten meat. Silent fart, deadly fart. I cut one at Kmart. I watched a woman that swivel around. She was wearing a terrible frown. I walked right out of that place with a big smile on my face. Silent fart, deadly fart. Doing it is quite an art. Let one go, but don't look back at the victims of your gas attack. Oh! If you're in church when you do, you'll have to stay in your pew. I want to know who cut the cheese.
102 at 560 WQAM. Welcome to the Neil Rogers Talks to Himself show here on 560 WQAM. We have 2 open lines in Dade if you have anything to say about anything in the world, and if not, give it a shot anyway. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Boy, 2 o'clock, I'm going to make a beeline for my Sawgrass Publix. They've got a whole bunch of my Tyson seasoned beef strips allegedly waiting for me. Huh? Hey, it's something to look forward to when you live in this town. There's not a whole lot, but there's something right there I'm looking forward to anxiously and enthusiastically. And don't forget, tomorrow we'll be at Shells and Pembroke Pines, 5 to 7 p.m. We got to get this set of one thing. We got to get this last month of December cranked up and really get it going if we're going to get anywhere near that $100,000 mark. Because Sam, you know, has got a goal of $300,000. I don't think we're quite going to make it. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Yeah, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I used to go out on that sun cruise many, many times.
Right.
When I found out what was really going on with the blackjack and everything, I stopped. I know some people there, and I know there's no evidence or anything, but they were playing without full decks. I mean, that's. You said they need
How do
regulation.
you know that?
I know. I don't want to. I know some people that work on the boat.
Yeah.
You know.
So there's some missing picture cards, like it said the other day?
Right.
Yeah.
So I stopped going. I mean, it's like I just stopped going,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the choice I have.
Right.
And as far as this guy Gus goes, I mean, he's cheaper than tax. I mean, he buses all these people over like refugees and everything. He doesn't pay those people anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the people that work there say if he sits on a dime, he squeaks.
But let me ask you this. I mean, he may be the chief. He may be a bastard, but is that really the point here?
No, he's just Heisinger number 2. You'll see that eventually. You got Heisinger Jr.
Yeah, but that's not the point. I mean, I have no
Well,
interest
the point is
wait a
this.
minute.
I don't mind losing my money, but don't cheat me like that. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
So why don't we?
You don't have to do that.
So why doesn't the state regulate it?
There you go.
Okay, thank you. That's what the argument is. Don't just sit back and wring your hands and then stage a big song and dance for the media for public consumption to pretend you're doing something. A state that can't regulate anything, a state that doesn't care about protecting the public. So don't give us a big song and dance. You're worried about those poor bastards going out there losing your money. In fact, the Sun Sentinel, right next to the ad that they got in there for the Sun Cruise, why don't they put their own big thing in there, right next to it? Take out a public service announcement. Oh, by the way, the ad to our right, these people are cheating you left and right, and there's not enough picture cards in every deck, and you're going to wind up losing your money big time. Huh? Why don't they do that? Instead of wasting months and months and months of time and taxpayer money and putting on a big song and a dance and then, getting really indignant and outraged and, preaching to us again. I don't buy my newspaper because I want somebody preaching to me, okay? I'm not interested in their goddamn opinions over there. I do look at the editorial page because I do a radio talk show, and every now and then something like this comes up and I need to talk about it. But the idea that we need our newspapers to moralize for us is most amusing. Here's Plantation. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I have several things on my mind, but
Well, let's tackle 200 or 300 of them.
okay. The first thing is about O.J.,
Yeah.
since you were talking about the book, and I enjoyed listening to the author of the book this morning. He's a very literate man and
Yes.
enjoyable, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. But I'll tell you this first. There's more bad news for O.J. A director named David Finney has just completed a multi-hour TV documentary called Absolutely 100% Guilty.
Oh, man.
Based on one of your favorite books, Outrage, The Five O.J. Simpson
Yeah.
Got Away with Murder by Charles Vincent Bugliosi. He says it's not a whodunit. We come right out and say we know he did it and we're going to prove it.
I killed Nicole.
Yeah.
Blames the terrible incompetence of the prosecution and the lousy jury for the innocent verdict. He interviews the deputy sheriff at the jail, among others, who supposedly overheard O.J. admit his guilt.
Yeah.
And he and his producer, a guy named Kurt Fetke, are hoping to sell it to a network by June 12, 1999, which
I
is
hope
the
so.
5-year anniversary of the slayings of Nicole and Ron.
I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is somebody out there who's got the right idea as
Great.
far as exposing this.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, me too.
Anything bad I can see about O.J., man, I'll be sitting there glued to my TV.
Now, not only did I read the book, but I got the audio book, which was read by Joseph Campanella,
Right.
which was very interesting to hear it read. It was abridged, but that's why I went out and read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Great book, and I thank you for recommending it.
Okay.
One of the things that I subscribe to, which I'm sure you'll agree with, is the Edwin Newman idea of proper English and grammar.
Yeah.
It's amazing how people butcher the English language, particularly in broadcasting. And I want to commend you for your literacy. You haven't lost the ability to communicate.
Yeah, I'd be real literate. There's no question.
You said something the other day that I had to stand up and cheer. Most people would say it's a whole nother topic, and you avoid that pitfall by saying it was a whole other idea. Actually, what they're doing is breaking a word into two parts.
Yeah.
A whole nother. Breaks on my nerves when I hear that.
Okay, pal.
Thanks very much, and have a great day.
And have a great life. Oh, I forgot to play for our friends over there. The digital Zoom.
This is Learning to Spell with Darnell. I'll be Darnell Jackson, and today we're going to spell the word consensus. Spell it with me now. Consensus. C-O-N-S-E-N-S-U-S. Now, let's use it in a sentence. Be careful what you say. Those cops can send us to jail. This is Learning to Spell with Darnell. I'll be Darnell Jackson.
You know, I was one of the very few people watching Whammy a few nights ago. Remember I said that I had actually seen my show on there and you could hear the audio and it really looked pretty good. And before that, as I tuned over there to check out what was really on that station and if they were still on the air. And I did get my check from them yesterday. Oh! Thank God, thank you. And there was the new dark-complected sports guy in there. In fact, they keep changing sports guys on that 10 o'clock show. It doesn't help. But nevertheless, this was a, you know, kind of like medium chocolate black guy. Very good-looking guy, very articulate, young. And I'm sitting there listening to him, and, you know, I already knew the information he was passing along, all the scores and stuff. But the fact that this guy was sitting there so articulate, speaking perfect English. And every time I hear that, I say to myself, this is a myth, the idea that black people in America are somehow have got some genetic thing or some mental thing that forces them to speak blackese, to speak some other dialect of English. That's bullcrap. Every black person in this country is just as capable of speaking perfect English as I am. And as that guy on channel on Whammy last, whoever the sports guy is, whatever his name is. Now, unfortunately, we got the Jim Berries in the world that have to do their jive-ass approach to the English language when they do their sports, like professional coons or whatever Jim Berry's trying to be. But this guy was great. Maybe someday he's going to be like on a real TV station because this guy's good. It is so sad what goes on in this country, man, in the name of education and promoting students and just allowing this bullcrap. And see, that's another thing, to go back to the pros and cons thing. When you continue advancing jocks along and allow them to be morons with no education, who can't speak the language properly, who have no other skills, whose brains are still in the ghetto, then you're not doing anybody a service. Oh, I'm sorry. I said the evil word in America. I said education. I'm very sorry about that. We have an open line in Dade 1 and Broward, 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line, 10 after 1 at QAM.
If I'm going to suck on something, it's not going to be an oyster.
Here's Don in a car phone, not on one, but inside of one. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, yeah, Phil, how you doing?
Good.
Listen, I got to like to speak to your program director there.
Yes. Steve?
I'm right here, sir. Yeah, listen, I'm very upset. This is the first time I'm calling in, by the way. First of all, as soon as you come down here, Randy leaves. We were real pissed off about that. Then you message Jeff DeForest.
Who's we?
And we are real upset about that.
What do you mean
about okay?
Who's we?
Listen, I am speaking here, sir, okay? We're real upset about that. Then you make the comment that you'll deal with Neil when you get back. Exactly what do you think you're going to do when you come back?
I'll have Mr. Rogers in my office, and I'll tell him the next time he mentions me on the air, he better smile. I'm suspended.
Where are you from, by the way?
Are you saying you're going to suspend Neil Rogers?
I'm thinking very seriously about it. Nobody drags my name through the mud.
Sir, where were you from before you came here to Miami?
Cincinnati, Ohio. Where are you, in a rail yard or something? Did you just hop a boxcar? What does that sound behind you?
Never mind where the guy is.
Anyway, let me tell you something.
Answer the question. What did you say?
He obviously doesn't know how things run around here, okay? Because when you mess with Neil, you're going to have a lot of problems on your head, buddy.
What do you want to bet? I'm going to call him into my office and tell him what's up.
We're very upset about Defoe, okay? I'm not even paying attention to what you have to say. But when you mess around with Neil, that's a whole nother kettle, buddy.
A whole nother cattle?
That's right.
A whole nother cattle.
You're barking on the wrong tree, okay? If you know what's good for you.
I'm barking on the wrong tree.
That's right.
Do you understand what he's saying, Phil?
You're barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, I couldn't understand it. Are you a hobo?
Hey, how the hell did you get this job anyway?
I came in and I applied for the job, and because of my credentials and my experience, I got the job.
It's just got to say about management. You know, management, you're all innerly retentive.
If you
all
worked
of you.
for me, you wouldn't be... I'm innerly retentive? What did you say? There goes that your boxcar's...
Oh, anyway, Phil, I enjoy your show.
Well,
okay?
thank you very much. Okay.
All right, bye.
All right, Don, see you.
And thank you so much. Okay, 116 at 560 WQA, and we have an open line in Broward, 560. I'll tell you, with the holidays here, with what do we got, about another 3 weeks? Something like that, 3.5 weeks before the new year. I'm going to dig out lots of old stuff, baby. Lots of old crap, Christmas stuff, Phil stuff, God only knows what. Here's Pembroke Pines. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes?
On the subject of horrible athletes, I want to say that there's approximately 182 players in the National Baboon Association.
Yes?
And when they go on strike, they're not getting paychecks from the owners, so they can file for financial assistance from the NBA.
Yeah.
And out of the 182, two of them, one being Michael Jordan, 2 of them did not file for financial assistance.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
These guys...
Well, they got to be putting some bread on the table, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they don't have more than, 30, 40 million in their bank accounts.
Right.
They can't afford to feed their...
Things are getting a little on the tight side, man.
Their 22 illegitimate children.
Mm-hmm.
And,
By 22 different women, though, at least give them credit. Give it like Will Chamberlain used to say.
Exactly.
We like to spread it around.
I wanted to ask, where can I find this pros and cons book?
In any bookstore, like Borders or Barnes & Noble or any place that sells books would be good.
Any bookstore is carrying it right now?
All of them.
Okay.
It's a bestseller. It's a hardcover, black cover, pros and cons. It's great.
And can I call somebody a douchebag?
Yes, sir.
John Roberts, you're a douchebag.
Big time. Okay, have a great weekend, pal. You ought to be going out there and buying. I told you weeks and weeks ago, man, I'm right on target as usual. My psychic...
oh, God.
That's right. My psychic vibrations told me Lost Rights by James Boulevard, which talks at great length, by the way, of this bullcrap of going in and just, grabbing up money, seizing this, seizing property, seizing money. I mean, what business do they have to confiscate those guys' tips? I mean, is that even debatable?
No.
It's not money that was being gambled, don't you understand? In other words, if I give you a tip, if they let the people keep their winnings, and I gave you part of that, that's money I voluntarily gave you because I won, and you were the dealer or whatever it was. I gave you a few bucks. Do they have any legal right whatsoever to confiscate that money?
No.
Of course not. But don't confuse these bastards, because when you live in a police state, of course, they can just make it up as they go along. And did they do that? Yes, they do. Bobby Butterworth and Ken Jenny and all you other Nazis out there. We have an open line in Broward, 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Yeah, how are you doing, Neil?
Okay, sir.
Listen, I got this guy that called you up that said he gambled on that ship and they didn't play with a full deck. I mean, talk about sore losers, okay?
Yeah.
They always have reasons why they lose.
Maybe he wasn't playing with a full deck. You ever think of that?
I played with Gus Bullis on the Sea Escape before he bought any of those ships.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive a bus in Broward County. I'm going to let you know I'm just a plain old blue-collar worker.
Right.
I went out to Las Vegas a year ago.
Oh, my God. You're not gambling away your lunch money, are you now, sir?
No. I spent 7 days out in Vegas, and I saw the strip was congested with traffic. But guess what, Neil? Everybody had a smile on their face.
Right.
I mean, I didn't see any slums. I didn't see any ghettos. Now, I drive a bus downtown Fort Lauderdale.
I didn't
They
see
got a
anybody
homeless tent down there.
living under the overpass like they are here in downtown Miami.
Exactly. They got a homeless tent right downtown Fort Lauderdale, right by City Hall of Fort Lauderdale. They got more people in there on crack and alcoholics hanging out all damn day long.
Right.
I didn't see any of that in Las Vegas.
Neither did I. I just got back a few days ago. I didn't see any of those things.
Exactly. And these people here are so they're Neanderthal. You know, years ago, I listened to you for years. Years ago, you said this was going to turn into an outdoor toilet bowl.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you something. The reason Weston is so popular now is because anybody with any kind of money had to move out there to get away from the dirtbags. All the holier-than-thou people, they don't stay where they are. They split. They went out to Weston because this whole area is turning into a toilet bowl.
Yeah.
And nobody sees it. I mean, it's totally ridiculous. You talk about Hallandale. Hallandale over there is congested right now, and all you see is a bunch of blue hairs with sourpusses. You don't really see anybody happy down there.
Yeah.
They run into the bank every day. They got a lot of traffic congestion. Nobody wants progress.
Okay. Hang in there, pal. Boy, worked up. That's the kind of caller I like. Here's one guy. If we could get 1 million people like him out there who are pissed off and fired up, then we really have something here. Because he's right on top of it. He knows what it's all about. And when I tell you that we have no chance of ever getting casinos in here, you can take it to the bank. That's not a gamble. That's a sure thing. There are a few sure things in life. Death and taxes, that's it. But this one you can take right to the bank as long as any of you, even you little kids out there, if you live to be 100, you'll never see legalized casino gambling in this state because this is a Neanderthal Bible Belt state run by a bunch of good old Yahoo boys who came down the Cohulawasi River from Aintree. That's right. They came in a goddamn canoe from Aintree. How do you think Burt Reynolds got down here? Yeah, he just got back in a canoe and kept on paddling. That's right. Without John Voight, without Ned Beatty. Well, Ned Beatty, he was kind of sore about that first trip. But Burt Reynolds, didn't he get killed in that thing? Didn't he get an arrow through the, yeah. Like I said, you won't see him no more. Back when he had a little bit of hair and he wasn't hanging out so much with Dom DeLuise. Don't trust a guy, by the way, a fat guy named Louise. Here's North Miami. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how's it going?
Okay, sir.
I was just wondering how you enjoyed your shopping experience last night. Do you like those type of stores, or do you like Publix better?
Meaning what? Is this my cashier from Albertsons?
Yes, this is your cashier.
Yeah. How did I enjoy my shopping experience? I hated it.
Really, you don't like Albertsons?
No, it wasn't that I don't like Albertsons, but you guys didn't have what I was looking for.
Or you can request those type of things. Put in a request and they try to get it for you.
Yeah, well, my Publix got it waiting for me at 2 o'clock when I get off the air. I mean, I don't want you to feel bad because you're a good guy, but Publix is right on top of it, and they know they better keep me happy or else. No, that's a good store you got. It's big, it's clean, it was okay.
Okay,
But let me ask you, how come you guys don't, like I was standing there, and thank God that you came over, because otherwise I'd still be standing there. None of the checkouts are lit up. I'm used to that, like when the checkout is open, there are lights on, like come over here because we're open,
Right, what it is there is they have magazine racks in front of it that open and close. So if it's open, it's supposedly that line is open.
Oh, so if the rack is open, it means come on in, and if the rack is shut, it means get your ass out of here?
Pretty much.
Right.
But yeah, that's how they work. They don't use the light thing there.
Right.
But, it's a good company.
Yeah, it's okay. I guess their checks must cash every whenever.
Yeah, they pay
Okay,
pretty
it's good seeing you.
All right, thank you, guys.
See ya. Call me again next year. Okay, we have an open line in, next year's coming too soon. Open line. He's a good guy. He means well. He just didn't have what I wanted in that damn Albertsons up there at Oakland and Nob Hill. It's a nice big store. They got stuff. Did they have any of what I wanted?
No.
Did they even have the chicken strips?
No.
Did they even have any chicken? No, they didn't have that either. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's Miami. Hello.
She'd rather bleed with me. Some girls like to roll around, like to handle everything they see.
It's like somebody just prodded him with a cattle prod there when he took off. Nice going, sir.
Oh!
Excellent. We'll be seeing him on the Ed Solomon Show someday. We have 2 open lines in Dade, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Wonder what supermarket he'd be working at. Here's Lantana. Hello.
Hey, Lantana here.
Yes, sir.
Great
Speaking.
show, Neil.
Yes, it is.
USA Today had a story on Wednesday's sports section
Yeah.
about the other side of the tough guys of hockey.
I never read that paper. I get blinded by all the color. I can't handle it.
I understand, but it's a great story that talks about how these guys are thugs on the ice, but they got like real compassion and heart off the ice as well.
Yeah.
Build off the community, kind of like the NBA.
Oh, yeah, right.
Exactly. Double standard here. I'm on the roof right now. I got a gun to my head, a knife in my throat. I got TNT in my chest. I'm ready to blow my brains out. This place is a Nazi camp. Miami spelled backwards is Berlin. I'm sure it is.
Berlin's 1,000 times more progressive than we are.
I'm talking
We're
about 40
talking about
years ago.
40s Berlin, yeah.
Exactly. That's what this place is. Go casinos.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe the new governor will send you to camp for free, okay, so you can really feel like Berlin, Auschwitz, Dachau. Okay, we have all of Dade County just opened up there. What's going on here, man? We're sizzling. We're smoking today. I guess Dade County can't keep up with us. 5670560 and pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's
Happy Purim.
our good friend,
Yes. How are you?
Happy Chinooka.
Well, that's why I'm calling you. Do you know that Hanukkah, the first night, is Sunday, December 13th?
Yeah, that's a week from Sunday.
That is correct.
Right.
And did you know that we had gambling in Miami 50 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did know.
Illegal. It was all illegal, but it was nobody paid any attention.
no,
Everybody
but-
was having a good time, and the town was hopping, and
The public went. My mother took me there.
right.
But my mother played poker.
Oh, poker.
Yeah.
Did they have slot machines?
No.
Oh,
I don't think so. I don't remember because
Yeah.
I was.
it was 100 years ago. I know. You were only 20.
Yeah. And yesterday I went to the eye doctor and
Yeah.
everything's okay. Come
Great.
back. Yeah. So I got good news.
Excellent.
So you take care now.
Well, if you're okay, all the rest of us are okay. That's all that counts.
Oh, that's nice.
Zygazun.
You too.
And don't
Bye-bye.
forget.
Thanks for calling. In Cackamoon.
And back to you. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Okay. She didn't say Dorton. Okay, it's wasn't that the guy's name on Jackie Gleason's show? Wasn't that Art Carney, Dorton? We have an open line in Broward, 5670560 and pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Pretty soon we're going to have Schwarzer speaking Yiddish in this town. That's right.
Oh!
We got Julio speaking Yiddish. Pretty soon we'll have Haitian speaking Yiddish.
Oh!
126 at 560 WQAM. Hey.
You made a New Year's resolution. Well, you said you're gonna wanna knock off 20 pounds. It's just another self-delusion, because you know you're hooked on almond joys and mounds. And when I see you choke those Twinkies down, don't you know you really gross me out? Cause you really are a cow. You know you really are. Oh, well. You made another resolution. Well, you said you're gonna stop to exercise. You need a total blood transfusion, because you know you do one push-up and you'll die. But if you keep sucking down cases of Piccolo, you'll be the first person who's given his own zip code. Cause you know you really are a glam. It's the thing you really are. You weigh more than my car. You're fat. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
All right. 2702 at 560 WQM, the Hank Goldberg Show at 2. Boog at 6, Eddie K at 10 o'clock tonight. You know, like Fred Grimm wrote in the Herald yesterday, if indeed they are playing without a full deck out there, so to speak, on those cruise ships, and they don't have enough face cards and they're cheating the public, the fact is that when you don't have any regulations, when the state has no regulation whatsoever to cover this, because casino gambling is two words that we don't want to speak, then it would seem to me they don't have any jurisdiction over that, because if it's all going on outside the 3-mile limit and there are no regulations, how in the world can we protect the public? And do they really want to protect the public? No, they just want to grandstand and show you what a great job they're doing, of whatever it is that they were doing. Here's Coconut Creek. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Neil, I'm one of the old farts that you were looking for yesterday.
All right, we're up to 3. Oh, God, it's taking some time. We'll get you guys out.
I didn't have a chance to call. I love your show, and I'm a little nervous. I never called before, so
but
bear with me,
nevertheless,
please.
okay.
I thought you might be interested in hearing a little story about cheating on the cruise ships.
Yeah.
I was on a cruise ship some years back, and it was an extended trip. It wasn't one of these day trips. It was like 5 days or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you're a blackjack player. I know you are. I hear you on the radio. And I consider myself a fairly decent blackjack player. And I'm sitting at the table, and I couldn't believe what I saw. They played an open deck. Everybody's cards were open. And I'm sitting there, and I see 7 players, so I'm looking at 14 cards, and the dealer's 1 card. I'm looking at 15 cards, and I see no 10s. No 10s.
Yeah.
I got a pair of aces, and I split them, and I catch a 4 and a 5. All right? I got a 12 or a 14, and I hit it, and I catch a 4 and a 5.
Right.
The dealer is showing a 6. I stop short. He turns up a face card, and he's got 16. I figure I'm a winner.
Yeah.
He catches a 4 and a 5.
Uh-huh.
I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. When do we see the deck? When do you open up the deck? Oh,
right.
We do that before the game. We do that before we open. We do that early.
Yeah.
I said, what time you open? I think it was 4 o'clock, something like that. I said, I'll be here. I got there 3:45. The cards were already in the shoe. Already mixed and shuffled in the shoe.
Right.
And I saw the same thing again. I said, what the hell is going on here? What they did was, what I believe they did, they took out 10s and put in 4s and 5s. So the player stopped short. The dealer would not bust. Every time you split aces, you caught a 4 and a 5.
Yeah.
What I did, I don't know where the hell I got the sense to do it, I reversed my strategy. And I'm hitting 16s against a dealer's 5 and 6, and I don't bust. And the people at the table are looking at me like I'm crazy. I won back my money, and I quit.
There you go.
I complained and complained, and their attitude was, if you don't like it, don't play. That's all.
So I guess if you're smart, you won't be going back.
That's right. And I called the Sun Sentinel, and I called the Herald,
Yeah.
and I thought perhaps, somebody in the newspaper might want to write something about it. No. They ignored them.
No, they don't care.
They don't want to hear it.
No, they only when it's a grandstand thing like this Butterworth and the Kenji anything. That's the only time they care is when somebody's grandstanding. Okay, pal, don't do it again. We have an open line in Broward, two of them, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. You don't think those slot machines are fixed, do you? You don't think that those you don't think that they're rigged, do you? I mean, you got to understand, if you're going to gamble your money, you got to understand that the odds are stacked in the favor of the house. You got to understand that. Now, he's talking about something entirely different. But it's like when you're playing the slot machines and you get like 7, and all of a sudden, like when you think you're like close to something, and then you get a blank, or you get a bar. And the natural inclination is to think, oh my God, I just came close to like $1,600 jackpot, or 5,000, or whatever the hell it was. You didn't come close if you would have gotten 3 blanks on there. You didn't come any closer than that. It's a big tease. It's a big come on. That's where they're programmed, to keep you going, to keep you plunging your money. It's that's what it's all about. But once you understand that, what difference does it make? In fact, that's what makes it fun, the fact that they give you the opportunity to think that, oh, my God, look how close I come to, look, there's the double jackpot, blank. Geez, but next time, I'm going to, which probably you're not, but nevertheless, at least it makes for some fun. That's why they call it gambling. 2 open lines in Broward, 5670560 and pound 560 on our AT&T wireless line. Here's a mobile in Lauderhill. Hello.
Oh, Neil.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Great.
Good. Did you see the article in last week's paper regarding the Pope?
No.
The discount indulgences?
No.
You didn't see that?
No.
He said that people who quit smoking or drinking during the holidays due to the upcoming millennium, also who are doing public affairs work, public relations type work, or charity work, can get their indulgences at a discount and less time in purgatory while their souls are being purified so they can reach heaven.
All right.
We've got indulgences on sale for the Christmas holiday.
I better put this damn cigar out, huh? Better put out my
I think maybe you should.
Yeah. And the Pope better put out that big fat one he's smoking.
The Pope smokes dope!
Yeah.
Can I make a shameless request?
Yes, sir.
This might be a little original. Do you still have the old card from, I think it was Jeff DeForest, talking about what he wanted to do with somebody's butt?
About what he wanted to do with somebody's butt?
I want to bang in the butt, honey.
No, that's not Jeff DeForest.
Oh, who is that?
That's Mandich.
I'm sorry.
You don't think Mandich would say anything, that Depot would say anything that creative, do you?
I want to bang you in the butt, honey.
Okay, pal, have a great day. Say it again?
I want to bang you in the butt, honey.
I'll pass. Okay, Broward County open 5670560, pound 560 on our AT&T wireless line, 21 till 2 at QAM.
Where's my meat?
Banana picking Julios who thrive on anarchy are building an arena for the Miami Heat. Having 2 arenas somehow don't seem right. Better ask Jeff Bowen for financial advice. NBA is locked out. There's no basketball. They're all on strike. Let's burn the place down. An insurance check would sure be nice. Before we lose our ass, take that can of gas. Light that snack. Oh my, that's
at 560 WQAM. I just on our program director, Rough Ocean, times ever get tough, have no creations. We're the experts on getting freebies on this show. We can get more free food in here in 1 hour than most other people can do in a lifetime, than most panhandlers can do in 1,000 years. So Rick and Judith are here from Costco, and they brought me a bunch of beautiful fillets, okay? Which is great. That's sensational. I'm looking forward to putting those on the grill and eating those. It is not my seasoned beef strips from Tyson, by the way, which I have the box in my hand, but it's beautiful meat, okay? See, now by saying that, it sounds, you ungrateful son of a... No, it's not that I'm ungrateful. It's not the same thing. Is it, George?
No.
Oh. But the good news is that my Publix will have lots of this for me once I dump that stuff off at the... Huh? Although what?
Fillets. You still have your barbecue working, right?
What did I just get through saying?
I
said thank you profusely, and they look beautiful, and I'll be popping them on the grill, and it's great, et cetera, and so on. And wonderful. But, okay, here's Miami. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Great.
You know, what's with the ad while I was waiting? Where do you find so-and-so, right where you got it? What do you get? What is that?
Just keep looking for it. You'll find it.
Well, hey, great. That's almost as annoying as that Tim Hardaway cellular commercial.
Yeah. So anyway, what's your story today, pal?
Did you see the TV Guide this week?
No, I don't read the TV Guide.
Well, they have an article about why Monday Night Football has lost all of its ratings
Yeah.
to pro wrestling.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, 2 open lines in Dade, 1 in Broward. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Great. I'm sure that's going to make me feel a lot better all weekend long, knowing that Monday Night Football has lost their audience too. See, could it be anything to do with the fact that Monday Night Football sucks?
No.
Okay, thank you. Or that the games blow?
Uh-huh.
Here's a mobile in Pompano. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Sure, they had sensational ratings for last night's game for the Eagles and the Rams. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Neil?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a question. I'm new to South Florida, but just before I moved here 2 years ago, they had a referendum where they wanted let the people vote whether the sugar industry should pay a tax.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that should have passed?
Oh, of course, they should soak the sugar industry. Listen, they keep putting more tax on tobacco for crying out loud and on booze. They should have the highest taxes because they're killing us every day of our lives. The sugar people are the killers, man.
Okay.
Make no mistake about it. Sugar kills.
Okay, I got one other question.
Just keep that in mind. Just remember, I told you that here first. Sugar kills. More Americans die from heart disease, coronary artery disease, stroke, diabetes from sugar than all the other crap put together, sir. And you heard that from a fat diabetic.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. One other thing. I know you don't like to talk sports, but I do respect
What do you mean by that?
Well, you really don't consider your show a sports
I don't like
show.
to talk sports minutiae like these assholes that call out about their shows and talk, about point spreads and crap like that, and about Jimmy and Danny and will they ever take a shower together again, stuff like that. Who cares?
Well, this is
Who cares if Jimmy and Danny take a shower together?
That's the truth. But this is a question about hockey. I've been watching hockey for over 30 years now. And
Hockey, now you're talking a real sport.
Oh, definitely. I've played it myself for a number of years.
Yeah.
My question is, who do you feel are the top 3 goaltenders, say, in the last, since, expansion?
In what?
The top 3 goaltenders in the National Hockey League since the first expansion back in
since the first
57.
expansion? My God, how the hell could I answer that?
Well,
Since expansion, you're talking in 31 years, sir. That covers a lot of territory.
Well, I mean, my opinion is I feel Dominik Hasek's definitely one of the top 3.
Today, Dominik Hasek is the best in the world today, and Martin Brodeur is number 2, and maybe Curtis Joseph is number 3 since he got himself straightened out.
Well, another couple of goalies I thought that were really great were Bernie Perron.
Yeah.
Roger Crozier, I thought, was a fantastic
Roger Crozier was pretty good, yeah.
And well, maybe because I'm from New York, but I'm somewhat partial to Eddie Jockman.
Eddie Jockman was okay. He's kind of a boring-looking guy. He was okay. Never stole a freight train. He was no Johnny Bauer. He was no Gump Worsley. And have a great day. See, here's a guy. Okay, he said he was an old fart. Now he wants to prove it. We believe you. We have an open line in Broward, 2 in Dade, 56705. See, that's when you lose the whole audience. When us old farts, we want to start reminiscing. Hey, how's Frank and Peter Mahavlich doing? Who? Exactly. There you go. How's Foster Hewitt doing? Oh, he ain't feeling too good. He sleeps with the fishes with Harold Ballard. Hearing a lot of rumors, by the way, about the Leafs are getting Theo Fleury from Calgary for Felix Potvin. That's the rumor I heard, which you won't hear on this station because I heard Geldy this morning talking about Tampa wants Felix Potvin. Who the hell has Tampa got to trade for Felix Potvin? Does anybody know?
No.
Maybe Rob Zaminer will take him. Here's Kendall. Hello.
Yeah, Neil?
Yes, sir.
I heard your comment earlier about someone saying talking about the congestion of the traffic in Las Vegas on the Strip.
Yeah.
I was out there.
I was just saying that the people here come up with all kinds of excuses as to why casinos would hurt our quality of life, and we don't want that here. And, of course, that would be one of the first things they would say again, like they've said before, bull crap.
I was just out there in October, and the one thing I was driving around the time I was there in a rented van, and the thing I want to comment about is the fact all the time I drove around out there wasn't one single accident.
Yeah.
As opposed, let's say, to Miami, which you probably have accidents all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's a quality of the driver.
Well, when you're on the Strip, it's pretty hard to have an accident because you can't go fast enough to get in a wreck if you're on the Strip. But, no, the locals drive very well. The tourists, the people with the rented cars who are lost, they could drive you nuts. But, when you're in Vegas, first of all, how much time are you going to spend driving anyway? You're going to be inside having a good time.
Well, I did get a little driving done. I went up to Boulder Dam and all that.
Right.
Around Henderson, came back, and then south down to the Orleans.
Now, did you see any people, by the way, jumping into the Grand Canyon because they lost their life savings?
No, I
didn't
not.
see any of those people. Did you see any stumble bums all over the streets of Vegas? Did you see people begging out in front of casinos? I didn't see any of those things.
Well, I saw one beggar, but he had a very good reason to do so, and I'm sure he was licensed. He just didn't have any arms and legs.
Yeah, well, that's another story. Okay,
Exactly.
just shove him out of the way.
He entirely different story.
Right.
Anyway, I want you to know, first-time caller, but a long-time listener.
Great.
And I appreciate your show very, very much, and particularly your stand against organized religion. That really turns me on.
Okay.
I appreciate everything you do.
And God bless you.
Bye-bye.
And I'll see you on the strip. Oh, my God, the evils, these disgusting, evil people are surely going to burn in hell, and especially if they ever put money in a slot machine. That's what Florida will tell you, baby. That's what the Sun Sentinel will tell you. That's what the Miami Herald will tell you. That's why the governor will tell you. The outgoing governor, the incoming governor, the dead governors, the alive governors. That's what they'll all tell you. There's nothing more evil in the world than a slot machine. Oh, my God. The one-armed bandit. This article, I'm going to save this, along with Terry Murray's idiotic comments that he made, which he's made so many of them, like Paul Laws, if he wore number 4, would be Bobby Orr. Nice poetry, by the way, Terry, you jackass. What an idiot. Terry Murray couldn't coach my dog to take a in the backyard, okay? That's the kind of coach he is. Genius. There you go. That's Paul Laws, a.k.a. Bobby Orr. Even Paul's laughing his ass off about that, I guarantee you. And then the comment about, well, we didn't put the goalie out there because we don't practice 6-on-4. Our power play is 5-on-4. Terry, I'm going to tell you, between you and your brother, man, oh man, dumb must be both your middle names. But this editorial today even makes all of those pale into insignificance because crackdown on gambling votes a sure winner for state citizens. Thank God that they're protecting us from all this crap. Don't you feel a lot better today about it?
No.
I sure do. I'm going to sleep like a child all weekend long, knowing that Bob Butterworth and Ken Jennings and all these other Nazis are out there protecting us from the evils on those casino ships where people are actually pulling those one-armed bandits. They're yanking it. Oh, that's right. The Yank police, they'll be out there next, baby. When they find out they're yanking it on the cruise ships, they'll be out there next, putting their goddamn ass in jail and whatever else they can fit in there. We have an open line in Broward. All 3 and Dave just have departed now. I had to kick them in the ass earlier this morning, and they've been smoking ever since. And from the sound of it, maybe some good stuff. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. We got the humper coming up at 2 o'clock, and we know that Hank would never gamble in Vegas. He knows how evil it is. No, seriously, he would never plunge out there because he's seen the evil ways of those slot machines and those tables, and he has seen the crap tables, all the other horrendous crap that goes on out there. What do you think they call it crap tables for, huh? Because it's a bunch of crap. That's right. Those of us here at WQAM, we are anti-gambling, baby. Just keep that in mind. And we'll have some phone numbers for you later.